Chapter 1257. Muyu was awakened by this voice. He was a little stunned and confused. He didn't seem to understand why he was in front of her. The bespectacled man's voice came from behind. It was ear-piercing and sharp. "Young master, are you trying to make your demon rebel?" Shisheng pulled Muyu behind him and said arrogantly, "So what if it's a rebellion? You're courting death." The bespectacled man was enraged. Through the lenses, one could see the anger burning in his eyes. Catch them, dead or alive. Dead or alive. They didn't care about Muyu's life. There was no movement in Muyu's lifeless eyes. He looked down at Shisheng's hand that was holding him. The bespectacled man's people had already rushed over. Muyu suddenly raised his hand, and a black pentagram appeared under his feet. The people over there were stunned. "You contracted a demon?" As soon as the man finished speaking, his body was sent flying and hit the wall in the room. Muyu rarely fought back, so from the beginning to the end, no one knew that he had summoned a demon. However, once he fought, the star map was very obvious. Only a demon cleanser who had contracted a demon would have a black star map. Muyu raised his hand and waved. The people standing beside him were also sent flying. The bespectacled man reacted and shouted. A dark blue pentagram appeared under his feet. The blue light condensed into an inch-long sharp awl that shot toward Shisheng and Muyu. Muyu waved his hand in the air. A black shield rose from below and blocked the sharp awls. The sharp awls hit the shield and sparks flew. The air pressure in the room seemed to increase, squeezing people's internal organs. An ordinary person would not be able to withstand it. Cough, cough, cough. Muyu suddenly coughed. The pentagram under his feet began to flicker. The black shield faded and became faintly discernible. Shisheng pulled Muyu to his side and waved his iron sword. The sword aura swept through the sharp awls, and they were all cut into pieces in the air. The bespectacled man was swept by the sword aura and fell out of the room. There was a crashing sound outside. Muyu's body slowly slid down. Shisheng was shocked. He threw away his iron sword and caught him. She carried him and put him on the sofa. "What's wrong?" She didn't feel any discomfort. Muyu coughed a few times and his breathing seemed to be a little irregular. After a while, he raised his head to look at her, but it was only a glance. After that, he lowered his eyes and did not say a word. Cough, cough, cough. Muyu covered his mouth. His face was frighteningly pale. Cough, cough. He opened his palm, which was covered in blood. F***ck. Shisheng scolded him and took out a tissue to wipe his hands. "What's wrong with your body? Why didn't she feel anything?" This was illogical. This retard is still not saying anything. This is simply infuriating. Up there, quick! He actually dares to form a contract with a demon. Such a person must be executed. There was a commotion outside the door. Shisheng's expression turned cold. She threw away the blood-stained paper in her hand and turned to look at the door. Before those people could enter the door, a strange gust of wind suddenly came from inside the door. The person running in front was directly thrown off the balcony and smashed down. Shisheng dragged the iron sword out of the door. "Demon, she's a demon. Muyu really made a contract with a demon. Kill him, kill him. F***ck. Shisheng was furious at this moment. Without hesitation, she slashed in that direction. The cold light flashed across the eyes of the crowd, and waves of cold air swept over. "Ah!" Shisheng threw the person off the balcony and pointed the iron sword at the person over there. "Who else wants to kill him?" The group of people stepped back and looked at each other. This demon is so powerful. 3 seconds later, one of them roared, "Go!" A group of people rushed up from the narrow passage. Pentagrams of various colors flashed under their feet, making the passage colorful. Muyu listened to the sounds of fighting outside. Different lights flashed at the door and then disappeared. Shadows swayed, but no one could reach the door. They were all blocked outside by her. Screams sounded one after another. Shisheng threw the last person off the balcony. Looking down from the balcony, she saw a group of people staring at her with anger and hatred. "That's a demon," she sneered. "Don't make it seem like I killed your father. We're all natural enemies. It's either you die or I die. Have a normal mentality." Everyone. How was their mentality abnormal? Could it be that after you killed so many people, they still had to clap their hands and cheer for you to kill well? Weishi, do you think you can run away? Shisheng sneered. When did I say I was going to run away? With your abilities, I don't need to run away. Everyone. Then why would you need to run away? Was she looking down on them? But from her tone, it seemed that there was no contempt. There was only a sense of arrogance, the kind of arrogance that could reach the heavens. Shisheng knocked on the iron railing of the balcony with his sword. Do you still want to fight? If not, get lost. Everyone. They had never seen such an arrogant demon. Go back and get reinforcements. The group of people ran out in a flash. Shisheng smirked, jumped down from the balcony and chased after them. Everyone was blocked by Shisheng at a dead end. Didn't you let us go? Why did you chase after us? How could this demon go back on his words? Did I say I wouldn't chase after you? Shisheng rolled his eyes at that person. I know you're going back to complain. I'm not stupid enough to let you go back. Everyone. Come, let's see who dies first. Shisheng waved his sword heroically. Who wanted to die? They didn't want to die. Fight. Everyone exchanged glances and rushed toward Shisheng at the same time. Shisheng was furious. F***K, can't you all queue up? Even if you want to die, you should form a group. There's no discount. What's wrong with you? Why do you ask people to queue up when you want to kill someone? What's wrong with you? Shisheng took care of that group of people and went back with his sword. As soon as she entered, she saw the bespectacled man standing a little closer to the door. He was holding his hand and looking at Muyu with a pale face. When Shisheng came in, the bespectacled man glared at her fiercely. Shisheng glanced at his hand and was amused. Do you think I'll let him stay here alone? He's so big, so he must have killed a lot of demons. It's a miracle that he's still alive. The bespectacled man. He retracted his hand and endured the pain. He gritted his teeth and asked, What level are you? She was definitely not an ordinary demon. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for no one to notice her when she was at the Mu family's house. He remembered that Muyu had attended a banquet with her. At that time, a respectable senior in the family was present, but he didn't notice her at all. What was the level of this demon? Yusheng flipped her hair and squinted at the bespectacled man. You're not qualified to know my level. The bespectacled man. Shisheng rolled his eyes and suddenly said, Let me ask you something. If you answer correctly, I'll tell you my level. How about that? The bespectacled man. Crazy. This plot point was Muyu's growth period when he became a boss. Therefore, it was normal for him to be weak. How could he be so strong without going through hardships? Asking for votes from Hua Mulan today. Asking for monthly votes starting in April. Everyone has a guaranteed monthly vote at the beginning of the month. You're all millionaires now. I'll depend on you guys to get on the list. Cheer up, please vote for me, love you guys. Happy April Fool's Day. I refuse to give fake votes. Give real votes. Chapter 1258. Shisheng blocked the door, and the window was too far away. The man finally gritted his teeth. What do you want to ask? If he could find out what level she was at, the clan would be better prepared. Shisheng pointed at Muyu. I have a blood contract with him, but I feel like he's going to die, but I'm fine. What's the reason? The original owner wanted to dominate the world. She didn't care much about the outside world except for leveling up. There wasn't much useful information in her memory. Blood contract. The man's eyes darkened. You made a blood contract with him. Even if it was with a familiar, very few people would make a blood contract with it. Not to mention that the other party was a demon. Just answer my question. I don't need you to remind me of anything else. Uncle Huan. Muyu suddenly called out. His pupils returned to their original blue color, but there was no beauty in them. There was only a blue that made people feel depressed. Once you fell into it, there was no way to get out of it. The man seemed to know that Muyu could speak, so he didn't show any shock when he suddenly spoke. His expression changed quickly. I don't know. Shisheng scratched his head and said to Muyu, You let him hide it from me. Do you think I can't find out? Mu Yu turned his head and pursed his lips. He didn't want to say more. There are very few records of blood contracts. I really don't know. The man emphasized. Oh. Shisheng looked away. Then you're useless alive. Why don't you go down and play mahjong with your friends? You. The man looked at Shisheng walking over with the cold iron sword. He couldn't help but step back until he leaned against the wall. He felt a chill on his back. The woman in front of him was different from all the demons he had seen. Those demons were ferocious, ugly, dirty, and lowly. But the woman in front of him was indifferent, calm, and noble. She didn't have any characteristics that a demon should have. Or she was more like a king demon described in ancient books. The man's scalp tingled. There hadn't been a king demon in the world for hundreds of years. It was impossible. Shisheng smiled faintly. Goodbye. The man looked at the iron sword falling over his head. The cold light reflected by the iron sword filled his eyes. Wei Shi, stop. A loud shout came from outside. The bespectacled man quickly turned his head with a horrified expression. Young Master Yi, why are you here? Let's go back and look for the patriarch. The bespectacled man's voice stopped abruptly. He lowered his head stiffly to look at his chest. The iron sword was being pulled out of his body, and blood was gushing out. Plop! Wei Shi! Mu Yi roared, his eyes abnormally red. How dare you? I'm a demon. Shisheng turned around and pointed his blood-dripping iron sword at Mu Yi. Why wouldn't I dare? Mu Yi choked and suddenly shouted at Mu Yu. Mu Yu, are you just going to watch her kill people? Mu Yu was silent. Mu Yi looked at the glasses man on the ground and lost control of his emotions. Shisheng looked at the plot and remembered that the glasses man treated Mu Yi quite well. She treated Mu Yi well, but not so well with the porcelain doll. Mu Yi suppressed his anger. Wei Shi, you killed so many people. The Mu family will not let you go. You will be hunted down by the Mu family. You are a stray dog. Oh, what does it have to do with you? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Are you going to follow me? Mu Yi sneered and raised the phone in his hand. The Mu family will be here soon. Shisheng did not care. So be it. Do I have to go out and set off fireworks to welcome them? So, young Master Mu, what's your purpose? What's the point of beating around the bush? Mu Yi definitely had a purpose. Otherwise, he would not have appeared at this time and said so much nonsense. Mu Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at Shisheng. Mu Yu has a piece of jade on her. Give it to me and I will send you away. Oh, you still want to follow us? Shisheng was exaggeratedly surprised. Mu Yi did not say anything. The jade on Mu Yu was very useful. He had read the story. It was Mu Yu's biggest golden finger in the future. He had to get it. Time waits for no one. Shisheng nodded. Yes, repeat what you said just now. Mu Yi frowned. Which one? When you said that you would send us away if we gave you the jade. Repeat it word for word. I didn't hear it clearly. Mu Yi looked at Shisheng. Her hands were outside, and she was holding an iron sword. There was nothing strange about it. Mu Yu has a piece of jade on her. Give it to me and I will send you away. As soon as Mu Yi finished speaking, Shisheng rushed over and kicked him in the stomach. F***CKU. How dare you covet his things? Are you tired of living? Ha! You still want it? I'll let you have it. When Shisheng was violent, even she was afraid of herself. Mu Yi was hit so suddenly that he almost had no chance to fight back. After beating him up, Shisheng dragged him out and threw him off the balcony. The male lead would not die. At most, he would break an arm or a leg. Mu Yi fell right in front of the Mu family. In the original owner's memory, there was a person who walked in front. He was Mu Yu's father and the current head of the Mu family, Mu Hui. He did not look like a porcelain doll at all. He was tall and burly. Those who did not know him would think that he was a butcher. His genes had suddenly changed. Someone fell in front of Mu Hui. He subconsciously looked up. There was a girl standing on the balcony. She was not far away. He could even see the mocking smile on her face. Then she entered the house, dragged out another person, and threw him down in front of them. Everyone. The people of the Mu family checked the two people who fell down. Mu Yi was only knocked unconscious, but the bespectacled man was dead. Head of the Mu family, Mu Huan, is dead. Mu Hui looked at the person who reported. His eyes were filled with anger. He roared, "Surround this place. I want to see what that bastard wants to do today." Shisheng stood on the balcony and looked down at the people below. "Hey, I say, can you guys change your bad habit of slandering people without distinguishing between right and wrong?" Before everyone could react, she said, "I killed him. What are you blaming Mu Yu for?" Everyone. Was there a difference? You were Mu Yu's contractor. If you killed him, wouldn't that mean that he killed him? Shisheng watched as they surrounded the building. She propped up her chin in a leisurely manner. "Is Mu Yi dead?" Mu Hui subconsciously glanced at Mu Yi. Although he was not his son, he was the most talented in the Mu family. Therefore, he doted on him more than his own son. Mu Yi was unconscious, and the culprit was his son. Mu Hui's face darkened. "You're called Wei Shi? Why else would you be? *Gachin hashtag thank you to the cherub who sent me on the list yesterday hashtag please give me a monthly vote. Voting for fake votes is not allowed. Stern face, vote for real if you dare hashtag." Chapter 1259. Mu Hui asked again, "Are you a demon? If not, are you?" Shisheng repeated the answer without missing a single word. Mu Hui's eyes flashed with disgust. It was directed at both Shisheng and Mu Yu. Side mission: Mu Yu's origin. Shisheng was speechless. Wasn't this part written in the plot? Why the hell did you release it? Shisheng was stunned. No, it wasn't written in the plot. Mu Yu's origin wasn't written in the plot, because he had been demoted from the male lead to a supporting character. It was obvious that this mission was made up randomly. Why was it so careless? What do you think is careless? Shouldn't it be something like destroying the world? Shouldn't it be something like killing 100 people? Haha. If it released such a careless mission, the host would fly. It's better not to be careless. It's better to live longer. The system took a while to react. Its host didn't reject the mission this time. Thinking about the side missions she accepted, she either rejected them directly or completed them inexplicably. The number of side missions she completed on her own initiative could be counted on one hand. Did the sun rise from the west today? Shisheng looked at the people below again. They had already surrounded the building. Mu Hui looked up at him. "I'll give you a chance. Come down now." Shisheng imitated Mu Hui's tone and replied, "I'll give you a chance. Get lost now." However, his tone was very different. Mu Hui suppressed his anger and gloominess. Shisheng was obviously arrogant. In the eyes of the people below, it was a blatant provocation. Mu Hui's face darkened. "Do it." Shisheng looked at the pentagram array that appeared under the feet of the people below. Compared to the previous ones, this pentagram array was more dazzling and had a much larger range. Countless rays of light flew out from the pentagram array and swept up, weaving into a cross-shaped net that enveloped the entire building. This was similar to the Student Union's square lock. However, compared to the half-baked Student Union, this was definitely much more impressive. The Student Union's rays of light couldn't be unified, but the Mu family's rays of light had all turned golden after intertwining. Be it demon cleansers or demons, when they used their powers, there would be incantations. The incantations would form moves. Shisheng's feet moved slightly, and a black six-pointed star array appeared. It was not very big, only about 1 meter in diameter with her as the center. The original host knew some spells, but Shisheng didn't use them. Instead, he activated the six-pointed star array on his own. The 6 streams of black light that appeared from the 6 directions of the hexagram flew around her, and quickly interwove into a pure black sword. Shisheng stared at the sword and drew a circle with his finger. The black sword followed suit. Was it really possible? She raised her hand, and the black sword rushed into the gap in the air. Everyone was shocked. They all activated the pentagram array and sped up the weaving speed. They were determined to complete the ceiling when the black sword reached the top. Shisheng just looked up and didn't speed up like the people below. The gap was getting smaller and smaller, but the black sword was still some distance away. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Whoosh! A cold light suddenly shot up from below. It was so fast that no one could see what it was. In the next second, a gap appeared in the light that had been completely sealed. The top of the semicircle quickly collapsed. Something fell from a higher place and slowly expanded. As the cold light approached, a strong pressure came from above. Clang! The pressure carried the wind and spread from the place where the iron sword landed. Invisible waves swept in all directions, and smoke and dust rose. The fragile buildings were directly destroyed. The people below naturally couldn't withstand such pressure. Many of them were directly sent flying and smashed into the buildings next to them. Patriarch, are you okay? Mu Hui's face darkened. He flicked the dust off his body. I'm fine. Be careful. At this time there was dust everywhere. Their vision was blocked, and it was easy to be sneak attacked. But when the smoke and dust dispersed, there was no movement. The sword was stuck in the ground. Just a glance at it made people feel cold and threatening. Where is she? Mu Hui looked up and didn't see anyone. He immediately shouted. The people who were still looking at the sword also looked up at the balcony. It was empty. There was nothing there. Pay attention to the surroundings. Quickly find her. The people around them dispersed. She broke our barrier so easily. Patriarch, what's the level of this demon? Mu Hui narrowed his eyes. It's not her. It's that sword. What level? He couldn't tell. Mu Hui's heart couldn't help but sink. This demon was not easy to deal with. Sword. Everyone looked at the iron sword in the air. This sword looked a little scary, but it looked like an ordinary iron sword. How could such a good sword be so ordinary? A man beside Mu Hui suggested. Shall I go and take a look? Mu Hui didn't refute or agree. The man took his consent and walked towards the iron sword. Everyone held their breaths and stared at him. Just as he was approaching, someone came down the stairs. Her slender legs were perfectly arched by the school skirt. Those legs were enough for people to play with for a year. Shisheng walked down the last step and leaned against the iron door. He looked at the man with a faint smile. You want to take the sword? Take it. They thought that she was hiding or preparing to sneak attack. Who would have thought that she would come down the stairs? This didn't fit the plot of a blockbuster. The man froze on the spot. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he gritted his teeth and rushed to the iron sword. He reached out and pulled it out. He thought that it would be easy to pull the iron sword out, but the sword didn't move at all. It was as if it was rooted to the ground. The man glanced at Shisheng. There was a smile on her face. He couldn't tell what it meant, but it looked a little creepy. At this point, the man gritted his teeth. He held the sword with both hands and tried to pull it out. He used all his strength, but the iron sword didn't move at all. Shisheng raised his hand gently. The man was bounced back by a strong force. He staggered and fell to the ground. The iron sword rose automatically in front of him. It circled twice in the air and fell into Shisheng's hand. What weapon is this? I don't know. It doesn't even have a star map. The weapons in this world could move, but there must be a star map. When the sword rose, there was no star map. How did it move on its own? Shisheng stabbed the iron sword into the ground. He held the sword with one hand and raised his eyebrows. He started to talk nonsense. Sword breaks heaven and earth. This sword is called Heaven and Earth. Whoever has this sword will be invincible. The iron sword. Master, why did you give me a random name? Why did you give me a random setting? Shisheng was silent for a while. Then he said, it's easier to show off. Asterisk, this is a fake group. The iron sword. Master, can you give me a normal name next time? Shisheng, a normal sword? The iron sword. I'll run away from home. Shisheng, run away from home and show me. The iron sword. You'll lose me. Shisheng, let me see you lose one. The iron sword. System, brother, don't struggle. At least she didn't give you the name Buttface. The iron sword. Now that you mention it, I think I'm a little more open-minded. System. Where's the friendship between brothers? Little fairy, let me interrupt. The iron sword. Horrified. You won't even let go of a non-human? Little fairy. What are you thinking? I just want to ask for a vote. Chapter 1260. Everyone was speechless. Where did this Chinibu come from? As the same thought flashed through their minds, they subconsciously looked at the iron sword in her hand. Perhaps It was really possible? Regardless of whether it was true or not, they would know once they got their hands on it. Mu Hui gave a look to the people next to him, and they immediately retreated to the side under the cover of others. Mu Hui spoke to attract Shi Sheng's attention. Wei Shi, ask Mu Yu to come out. Shi Sheng looked at Mu Hui in amusement. Do you think you can meet him just because you want to? Who do you think you are? Am I? Do you believe that? Shi Sheng's lips curled into a mocking smile. I've never seen an eye like you. Mu Hui seemed to have thought of something, and a murderous look flashed across his eyes. What's the point of this stalemate? Ask him to come out, and I'll talk to him. Shi Sheng shrugged. He doesn't want to talk to you. How do you know he doesn't want to? I guessed. Do you think you can represent him? No. Shi Sheng spread out his hands and said in a nasty tone. But I won't let you see him. What's wrong with that? Mu Hui was speechless. Someone come. Drag this demon out and behead him. Mu Hui glanced at the balcony and saw that his men had already gone up. He felt more confident. He knew that his unfilial son was quite capable. As long as he got him, he would not have to be afraid of this demon who had signed a blood contract with him. Humph. Why did she have to sign a blood contract of all things? She was just unlucky. Mu Hui's anger subsided as he thought of this. Let's see how long she can be so arrogant now. Shi Sheng drew 2 lines on the ground with the iron sword, and his smile deepened. He pointed his index finger at Mu Hui and stretched out his fingers one by one. Mu Hui frowned. He did not understand what he was trying to do. When one of her hands was fully extended, 2 black figures suddenly fell from above and landed in front of Shi Sheng, raising a layer of dust. Shi Sheng retracted his hand and raised his eyebrows at the shocked Mu Hui. You want to catch him? Did you ask for my permission? Do you think I'm dead? Those who had fallen to the ground scrambled to their feet and ran towards the Mu family's team. As soon as he returned, he was caught and interrogated. What happened? The 2 men spread out their hands. Their hands were charred black as if they had been roasted. I don't know what young master's body is, but it's like this when you touch it. There's also a very strong rebound force. I told you he was a monster. I should have strangled him to death back then. Otherwise, none of this would have happened. All these years everything has gone wrong in the clan. It's all because of him. Clan leader, you can't be soft this time. He must be executed. Execute Mu Yu. Execute Mu Yu. Although this was a modern society, the law did not bind the purifiers. They were a special group of people. Even if they wanted to execute their own people, it was a very normal thing. No one else could do anything about it. Shut up. Mu Hui scolded. Now it was not a matter of whether he would execute that evil creature or not. It was the demon in front of him. She could destroy the barrier so easily. Her strength was not to be underestimated. If she really wanted to protect that evil creature, both sides would suffer. Mu Hui's mind spun quickly as he tried to think of a solution. Wei Shi, why don't we make a deal? Why should I? Who the hell wants to make a deal with you? Mu Hui said in a low voice. Even if you're very powerful, Mu Yu is still a human. You offended us and brought him along. It's not convenient. That's my business. It's none of your business. Who would be so nice for no reason? There must be something fishy going on. Mu Hui was speechless. There was no way to talk about this. He took a deep breath. There will be a school competition in a month. If Mu Yu wins the competition, I will block the news of you being a demon and will not find trouble with him. But you have to promise me that you won't kill anyone. What do you think of this deal? Clan leader? The Mu family members behind were puzzled. How could they help a demon hide his identity? Mu Hui raised his hand to suppress their opinions. Shi Sheng rolled his eyes. Okay. Mu Yu's voice suddenly rang in Shi Sheng's ears. Promise him, and add one more condition. From now on, I will have nothing to do with the Mu family. Shi Sheng was silent for a long time. I beg you. Shi Sheng tilted his head and said in his heart. It's not impossible, but you have to promise me one thing. Mu Yu was silent for a moment. Say it. Give me a kiss. That's it. This condition seemed to be different from what Mu Yu had expected. If you're willing to sleep with me, I have no objections. Mu Yu was silent for about a minute. The one above, I promise you. Shisheng smiled faintly and looked up at Mu Hui and the others. One more condition. Mu Yu will have nothing to do with the Mu family from now on. Deal. Mu Hui paused. If Mu Yu loses, you have to break the contract with him, and let us deal with him. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. If he doesn't want to break the contract, can you break it by force? Mu Hui's answer was very formal. You just have to agree. How to break it is our business. Okay. Anyway, no matter if he won or lost, he would be fine. You're lucky. Shisheng smiled maliciously and went upstairs with his sword. Shisheng sighed in his heart. Beauty really misled people. Mu Hui's expression changed quickly. When Shisheng's figure disappeared, he turned his head. Seal off the news about today's matter. Patriarch? What are you thinking? That's a devil. As a demon cleanser, how can we make a deal with a devil? And what kind of deal was that? Mu Hui glanced at that person and said his guess in a deep voice. She may be a king devil. That person's eyes widened. How is that possible? A king's contract hadn't appeared for hundreds of years. How could it appear now? Moreover, it appeared as a contractor. Mu Hui looked in the direction of the balcony. His eyes were obscure. King devils just don't appear in front of the world. No one has ever said that they're extinct. They didn't appear for hundreds of years because no one noticed. With their current ability, there was no way to identify a king devil hidden in the crowd, unless they used their ability to identify a king devil through the pentagram. But most of the time, king devils didn't need to do it themselves. They just needed to order the devils under them. The probability of being seen through was even smaller. That person was shocked for a long time and said anxiously, if she's really a king devil, then we'll have to contact people from other families. We can't deal with her alone. Don't forget that she has a contract with that evil creature. Even if she's a king devil, her strength will be suppressed. Mu Hui withdrew his gaze. First, send a few people to keep an eye on her. I'll go back and discuss with the elders. If she was really a king devil, then it would be troublesome. The only thing that was worth celebrating was that Mu Yu had a blood contract with her. Yes. Chapter 1261. Shisheng walked back into the living room. The living room was originally in good condition, but now, only the sofa looked normal. The rest of the room was full of holes, and was a mess. Mu Yu sat on the sofa with his head lowered. His silvery hair stuck to his cheeks, revealing his fair chin. His collarbone was faintly discernible under his collar. Shisheng described him as a porcelain doll. It was very fitting. He was like a fragile porcelain doll, making people feel a bit of heartache just by looking at him. But this porcelain doll was not as fragile as he looked. Sensing Shisheng's arrival, Mu Yu's jaw tightened. He clenched his fists and looked up at Shisheng. His azure blue eyes were still lifeless. His small face was as pale as a sheet. His lips were strangely red, either because he had bitten them or because they were stained with blood. He stood up from the sofa, his body swaying. Shisheng thought that he would fall back onto the sofa, but he stood firm. Thank you. You'll get paid. Shisheng smiled. Mu Yu pursed his lips. Can you give me some time? Kiss. You don't want your life anymore. Shisheng saw that his expression was not right and stopped talking. You have the final say. His wife was doted on and spoiled. Shisheng recalled the time when she was alive. She dared to swear on her iron sword that she had never indulged anyone like this. If she had known that this fellow was like this, she would have killed him when they first met. She did not know if it was too late to kill him now. Shisheng imagined that after he killed Feng Xiai, she would rub her arms. It seemed that there was no one to dote on her. It was quite lonely. Forget it, I'll just take care of him. Mu Yu went back to his bedroom alone. The bedroom door could still be closed, so they could not talk. The Mu family had already sent people to clean up outside. At that time, the humans had all run away. They only knew that there was a battle here, but they did not know what kind of demon it was. The Mu family casually caught a demon as a scapegoat. After giving these people an explanation, they left Paradise Street. The Mu family said that they would block the news, not only Paradise Street, but also the school. Shisheng sat up from the sofa and looked at Porcelain Doll, who was about to leave the house with his school bag. This was the third day. He had used 3 days to recover, and had not left the room during this period. Muyu put on his coat and walked towards the entrance. The Shisheng had asked the cunning child to reinstall the entrance door. The living room was still in a mess, because it was not cleaned up. Muyu glanced around. I'm going to school. After such a thing happened, he could still go to school so calmly. This retard was amazing. Are you all right? Muyu didn't turn around. He reached out and opened the door. It's nothing. He walked out of his room and bumped into Sly Boy, who had come to deliver breakfast. Sly Boy was stunned. Young Master Mu. Muyu walked around him expressionlessly, and went downstairs. Sly Boy entered the room and placed the breakfast on the table that was barely stable. Master, breakfast. Shisheng said without raising his head. Give it to him. I don't eat it. Ah. Sly Boy pointed outside a little fearfully. But young Master Mu doesn't seem to be easy to talk to. I'm a little scared. Shisheng. Shisheng glanced at the breakfast on the table and got up to leave with it. Shisheng caught up with Muyu, who had just left Paradise Street. Eat breakfast. Muyu carried his school bag with one hand. The school uniform fit him perfectly. The sun shone on his silver hair, creating a halo around it. His skin was white with a hint of whiteness. If it wasn't for his frighteningly pale face, he would definitely look like a rich young master. Muyu took the breakfast and walked forward without saying a word. Shisheng thought for a while and followed him. When they were about to reach school, Muyu suddenly stopped. You don't have to follow me to school. I'm a student here. Why can't I go? Muyu paused for a while before saying, You're not wearing your uniform. Shisheng looked down. I forgot. The original owner of this body had a great figure. He looked a little, that thing in the uniform. You won't let me in if I don't give you my uniform? Muyu nodded. Then I'll climb over the wall. Muyu didn't say anything and continued to walk forward. Sure enough, when they arrived at school, Muyu went in and Shisheng was stopped. Muyu stood at the school gate and looked at her. Shisheng walked around the wall for a while, and climbed over it when there was no one around. As soon as she landed, someone suddenly bumped into her. Shisheng instinctively moved to the side, and the person crashed into the wall behind him. The light of the pentagram flashed in front of her, and wrapped around the person behind her. It pulled the person forward and dragged him away from Shisheng. Shisheng looked up and saw a boy in a school uniform stepping on the person. There was a pentagram spinning under his feet. He had a delicate appearance and an elegant temperament. He looked like a disciple from a scholarly family. President. A few students ran over. Did you catch him? He's an E-class demon. The boy who was called President kicked the person under his feet and withdrew the pentagram. He looked up at Shisheng. Not wearing a school uniform and climbing over the wall. Which class is he from? Hearing the president's voice, the students looked at Shisheng at the same time, and their expressions changed. President. This is Wei Shi, the one who made a scene in the student union a few days ago. Oh, Muyu's familiar? The president raised his eyebrows and smiled. The students nodded. That's her. The Mu family was quite angry when they came a few days ago. However, not long ago, they sent someone to say that they would compensate for the loss of the student union, and would not pursue the matter. Familiar. The president glanced at Shisheng and smiled meaningfully. Record it. Even if he's from the Mu family, he can't bend the law for personal gain. Everyone was speechless. What demerit? This person had already been expelled. It was the Mu family that prevented him from being expelled. Shisheng looked at the president suspiciously. This person? Why did he look so much like that idiot Mu Bai? Even if Mu Bai didn't die from the previous attack, he should have been seriously injured. The morning assembly is about to start. Take him away. The president ordered the people next to him and looked up at Shisheng. Miss Wei Shi, don't forget to wear your school uniform next time. Otherwise, it won't be as simple as recording a demerit. This wasn't Mu Bai. Mu Bai was quite ruthless, but he knew that this was just a game, just like her. He wouldn't put his feelings into it. However, the person in front of her was different. There was hatred in the depths of his eyes. Muyu suddenly came from behind the president and walked straight to Shisheng. She pulled her away. The president just watched without any intention of stopping her. Muyu only let go of her when they were out of the president's sight. She said expressionlessly, "That person is very dangerous. Don't go near him." Shisheng tilted her head and asked, "Are you afraid that he'll do something to me? Or are you afraid that I'll do something to him?" Muyu glanced at her and turned to walk in the direction of the school building. Chapter 1262. Muyu seemed to have a class and went straight to the classroom. Devil cleansers and familiars needed to study, so there were not only devil cleansers in the classroom, but also familiars. It was very easy to spot the multicolored heads among the black heads. When Muyu entered, the people inside were silent and looked at him with different expressions. Muyu walked straight to the last seat. The people around him acted as if they had seen something dirty and quickly made way for him. "What are you looking at?" Shisheng glanced at the people around him. "Do you want to fight?" Everyone. It was illegal to look at him. Although they were unhappy, they did not dare to show it on their faces. This was someone who even dared to talk back to the student union. It was better not to provoke him. The onlookers dispersed and returned to their seats. Shisheng sat beside Muyu and looked at him with his chin propped up. "What are you looking at?" Muyu tilted his head. A strand of silver hair fell down and covered his eyes. "Are you ready?" Shisheng reached out and brushed the strand of silver hair to the side and asked with a smile. Muyu was stunned for a moment. Then he looked away. His left hand grabbed his right hand and squeezed it hard. His voice was very soft. "Give me some more time." Shisheng's mouth twitched. He leaned on the table. "Wake me up after class." "Okay." Muyu waited for a while before he looked back. Her face was facing him. Her long and curly eyelashes covered her eyes. Her breathing was slow. The sun shone in through the window and covered her face with a faint layer of white light. Her sharp and arrogant attitude seemed to have disappeared at this moment. She was so quiet and peaceful. Muyu suddenly turned his head and focused his attention on the podium in front of him. The class time was dull and boring. Shisheng woke up once in the middle of the class. She saw the teacher talking about theoretical knowledge with saliva flying everywhere. She then turned her gaze back to Muyu. He listened attentively. Shisheng was bored and continued sleeping. She did not know how long she slept. Suddenly, she felt something in front of her. She instinctively reached out to block it. The hard object hit her arm, and she felt a numbing pain. F***ck. Who did she offend? How could a sudden disaster happen when he was just sleeping? How could it be like this? Before Shisheng could see who it was, 2 more pieces of wood came at him. He quickly dodged, but in the next second, he stood still and blocked the 2 pieces of wood with his hands. The wooden strip fell to the ground, making a sound. However, no one was looking at them. Everyone's attention was on the 2 people in front of them. A purple-haired, round-faced demonic envoy was fighting against a human girl. The girl was obviously at a disadvantage. Those wooden sticks were splashed by the purple-haired demonic envoy when the 2 were fighting. Shisheng looked down at his hand, and then glanced at Muyu. After making sure that he was fine, he got out of his seat, grabbed a stool next to him and walked forward. As Shisheng approached, the human girl was sent flying. The purple-haired demon familiar looked at the human girl proudly. "After so many times, why can't you learn your lesson? Why must you go against Master?" Pa. A stool suddenly fell on top of the purple-haired demon familiar's head. The stool broke into pieces, and the demon familiar's expression froze. After a while, she turned her head and looked at Shisheng. Anger was burning in her eyes. "What are you doing?" Shisheng's expression was indifferent. "I don't care if you fight, but you almost hurt Muyu. I'm just retaliating." "Didn't you not hurt him?" "Weishi, don't go too far." The purple-haired demon familiar grasped the main point in Shisheng's words. "You don't like it? Hit me then. If I didn't block it, how could she not be hurt?" "You." The purple-haired demon familiar seemed to know that she couldn't win against Shisheng. She didn't continue the conversation and instead mocked. "Why do you care so much about your useless master? Don't tell me you like him? That's right, that monster looks pretty good, even better than the one sold outside. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop to freezing point. Everyone looked at them without daring to breathe. Shisheng suddenly reached out and grabbed the purple-haired demon familiar's arm. He swung her to the ground and reached out to strangle her neck. Everyone gasped. How did she get swung to the ground in the blink of an eye? Weishi. The human girl beside her crawled over and grabbed Shisheng's arm. Killing her will cause trouble. I'm not afraid of trouble. Trouble was meant to be solved. The human girl continued to persuade her. Weishi, think about Muyu. He will also be implicated. The surrounding crowd suddenly dispersed. Muyu walked over from the back. He bypassed the human girl and walked to the other side of Shisheng. He reached out and pulled her up. Muyu held her hand and walked out of the classroom. The purple-haired demon familiar was freed. She stood up from the ground and wanted to chase after them. Muyu suddenly turned around. The purple-haired demon's body froze on the spot, as if someone pressed the pause button. After Muyu and Shisheng left, the purple-haired demon finally reacted. Why was that monster's gaze so strange? Why did you stop me? Shisheng shook off Muyu after they were some distance away from the classroom. That idiot actually dared to talk about him like that. Muyu stopped in his tracks. He turned around and stared at her arm. Is your hand okay? It can't be broken. What could be wrong? Muyu immediately reached out and rolled up her sleeves. There was already a bruise on her arm. It was a very big bruise and looked quite scary. Muyu frowned. He pulled her to a place where there was no one around, and then took out some medicine from his bag. Human medicine is useless to me. When a demon familiar was injured, it was no different from a human. However, their physique was different after all. Human medicine was useless to a demon familiar. Moreover, she was not a demon familiar. Muyu's hand paused. He stuffed the medicine back into his bag. Wait for me here. Muyu left quickly. He left his bag behind. Shisheng rummaged through it. There were some medicine and a few strange books stuffed inside. Those were not books distributed by the school. Shisheng wanted to open them, but found that he could not open them. Did these books recognize their master? The cover didn't look like a good book. Weishi. A figure ran over from afar. You're here. I've been looking for you for a long time. Are you okay? Shisheng stuffed the books back into his bag and looked up at the person. I'm fine. The little girl heaved a sigh of relief. She took out a box of ointment from her pocket. I saw that your arm was injured. This ointment is very useful for a demon familiar. Try it. Shisheng looked at the little girl in front of him. She looked like the female lead. This was not a stud novel. Although the male lead had flirtatious relationships with many girls, there was only one real female lead. The team to dismantle the couple was online. Shisheng took the ointment. Thank you. The little girl smiled embarrassedly. If I didn't have a conflict with her, you wouldn't have been implicated. Is Muyu angry? The look in Muyu's eyes before he left was especially scary. Chapter 1263. I don't know. From Muyu's face, it was impossible to tell if he was angry or not. Anyway, there was no change. Oh. The girl was embarrassed. My name is Yukishiro. I have to thank you for today. If it weren't for you, I might have. Why are you thanking me? Yukishiro smiled bitterly. If it weren't for you, they wouldn't have let me go. I didn't do it for you. If it weren't for the fight that almost hurt Muyu, she wouldn't even look at them if they killed someone in the classroom. I know. Yukishiro smiled bitterly. Anyway, thank you very much. But you have to be careful in the future. They are very vengeful. Shisheng looked up at Yukishiro. He had thought that this girl was a saint, but it seemed that she wasn't. She knew why he helped them. She wouldn't take all the blame, but she didn't shirk her responsibility either. Well, I'll leave now. I owe you one. If you need my help in the future, just let me know. Yukishiro saw someone coming and said quickly. She ran 2 steps. Remember to use the medicine. It's very effective. Shisheng looked down at the medicine in his hand. It didn't work on her. Muyu came back after a while with several herbs in his hand. He crushed the herbs and pasted them on Shisheng's arm and wrapped it with gauze. I'll change it tonight. When Muyu was packing, he saw the medicine that Shisheng threw into his bag. He frowned. Where did you get this? The girl gave it to me. Muyu wanted to throw it out, but he thought about it and put it back. Her name is Yukishiro, the second daughter of the Yukishiro family. Don't show it to others. It will cause trouble. For whom? You. Muyu zipped up his bag. I'm never afraid of trouble. Shisheng repeated. Muyu gripped the edge of his bag. I hope you don't cause trouble before the school competition. Shisheng put down his hand and pulled down his sleeve. It's easy for you to leave the Mu family. Why do you have to go through so much trouble for this school competition? Muyu stared at Shisheng and said word by word. I want to leave the Mu family on my own. Isn't it the same no matter who we rely on? Anyway, isn't it fine as long as we leave? She did not care about the process. She only wanted results. It's not the same. Muyu picked up her bag and stood up. Shisheng grabbed the hem of his shirt and stood up. What's the difference? Muyu tilted his head and looked at her hand. The meaning is different. Shisheng grabbed his hand and said, Do you believe that they won't let you go even if you win? Muyu was silent for a long time before he said, But I still want to try. It's up to you. If her daughter-in-law wanted to hit a wall, she couldn't stop her. I'll protect you from behind. Muyu's heart skipped a beat. Let me go. My hand hurts. Muyu. What does a sore hand have to do with letting go of him? Muyu thought for a while but still couldn't figure it out. He had no choice but to let Shisheng hold on to him. He only left when she was done. Shisheng also noticed that Muyu would be confused when dealing with certain things, not only when it came to men and women. Fortunately, it was only a small part. He was very clear about most of the things. Muyu had a practical class in the afternoon. Shisheng sat at the side and watched. Everyone else was fighting. Only Muyu stood at the side and watched. Ever since he entered the school, his practical class had been like this. At first, it was because he wasn't a demon purifier. Later on, the contract was not terminated. Weishi was not in the mood to fight with him. Later on, when she found out that Weishi was a demon, she didn't dare to fight with him. Muyu, let's fight. A girl brought the purple-haired demon from this morning, and surrounded Muyu with a few others. They looked at Muyu provocatively. Muyu didn't say a word. He silently rejected them. Oh, you're so arrogant. Even young Master Mu isn't as arrogant as you. Who do you think you are? Someone couldn't stand him and pushed Muyu. Muyu was pushed so hard that he staggered. The people behind him spread out, and the people beside him mischievously stretched out their legs to trip him. Muyu lost his balance and fell backwards. Ha ha ha, look at him. TSK, Weishi isn't here. What's there to be arrogant about? How dare you throw a tantrum at me? Look at your status. What's his status? A light female voice came from the side. Shisheng helped Muyu up from the ground. He glanced at the person who spoke. What's his status? That person didn't know why, but he felt cold all over. He wanted to shrink back. They only dared to come over because Weishi wasn't here. Who knew that she would come so quickly? The girl beside the purple-haired demon looked a little upset. However, she didn't want to lose. Weishi, why did you hit someone this morning? She deserved it. Shisheng sneered. If I hear any of you talk dirty again, I'll kill you after school. The group of people instantly turned pale. The student union could control them in school. However, no one could control them outside the school. Get lost. Are you waiting for my fist to treat you? The girl gritted her teeth. Let's go. Weishi, Muyu, just you wait. I'll kill you sooner or later. Wait a minute. Shisheng called out to them. What else do you want? The girl turned her head and questioned in a shrill voice. Shisheng helped Muyu stand firm. She walked over to the boy who pushed Muyu just now and punched him. She pressed him to the ground. Do you dare to touch her again? The boy's eyes were filled with stars. His ears were buzzing. His cheek was pressed against the ground. He squeezed out a few words with difficulty. No. I won't. Shisheng let go of the boy. Be thankful that you live in a peaceful era. Everyone was speechless. What did she mean by that? Shishing pulled Muyu away. Under a tree in the distance, the president was instructing people to record demerits. Record all the people who hit her just now. The member of the student union who was in charge of recording the demerits asked carefully, "President, do you still record Wei Shi?" There was nothing to record for this one. It was enough to expel her twice. Yes. The president gave the final word. The person behind him immediately wrote 2 notes to remind the person in front. "President, there have been 3 cases of demons attacking the school recently. The school wants us to solve it as soon as possible." The president leaned against the tree trunk and said casually, "If the demons can sneak in, they must have an insider. Their position is not low. Investigate higher up." That makes sense. The person nodded and took out his phone to contact someone. The president looked thoughtfully at the 2 figures who were about to disappear in the distance. That boy from the Mu family is not a good person. "Huh? Young Master Mu?" The person who just hung up asked with a confused face. The president stood up straight and patted his clothes, which were not dirty at all. He left in the opposite direction. After a while he called out, "Muyu." "Huh? Muyu? Wasn't Muyu a good-for-nothing? Asterisk, this is a fake group. Little fairy. Come on, vote for Chui Hua. System, live broadcast? Student union, so dirty. Cherub. Pretended not to understand and watched. Little fairy, you people need to be brainwashed. What are you thinking all day? Vote." Chapter 1264. Although the school hours were not fixed, the end of school hours were the same. Once school was over, there were all kinds of colorful hair fluttering at the entrance. Shishing sat on a chair opposite the school and watched as the students left in groups or were picked up by their family cars. Shishing only saw Muyu coming out of the school when the number of people at the school decreased. He looked around and found Shisheng. Then he strode over. "You took so long." Shisheng looked up at the young man standing in front of him. He was so handsome that he wanted to frame him. "Host, your thoughts are dangerous. Calm down. I was just thinking about it. I didn't do it. Why are you howling? If you really did it, would it be too late?" The system was tired. It had to prevent the host from having any dangerous thoughts at all times. Oh right. It didn't have a heart. But it was still tired. Even if it didn't have a heart, it couldn't stop its determination. The young man nodded slightly and didn't say anything. "You?" Shisheng stood up and leaned towards him. "You smell blood. Whose blood is it?" The young man's pupils shrank. He reached out to take a look. It was very clean. There was no blood. After a long time he put down his hand. "Someone else's. That's good." Shisheng smiled. "Let's go home." Go home. He had never heard anyone say that to him before. Muyu calmed himself down. "I'm going to work." You go back first." "Are you short of money?" Muyu answered softly. "No one gives me living expenses." Since he moved out of the Mu family, he had to earn all the expenses himself. Rent, living expenses, everything needed money. Shisheng didn't say that he would keep Muyu. This idiot's self-esteem was much stronger than the previous ones. "I'll go with you." Muyu was a little unwilling. He didn't want her to see him. Muyu was stunned. Why was he unwilling? Wei Shi had gone with him before, but he didn't feel this way. Muyu frowned. He opened his mouth to refute, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He just walked forward silently. He worked at a cafe near Paradise Street. Muyu stood outside the door for a long time before he pushed the door open. The doorbell rang. It was light and cheerful. Xiao Yu, you're free today? You haven't been here for the past few days. I thought you were busy with your studies." The woman standing behind the bar raised her head when she heard the voice, and a gentle smile appeared on her face. "Wei Shi is here too?" The woman came out from behind the bar and pointed to the corner. "Wei Shi, sit over there." Shisheng examined the woman for a bit before she had an idea. She nodded and walked in the direction the woman had pointed. "Aunt Xian, check the goods." Someone called for a woman at the back door. "He's here." The woman nodded and said to Muyu, "You don't look too good. If you don't feel well, don't force yourself." Muyu shook his head and pointed to the back. Aunt Xian nodded, and went to the back with Muyu. When Muyu came out, he had already changed into a uniform. He took a glass of water for Shisheng and turned to her. It'll take a long time. You can go back first. Shisheng did not answer him. Instead, he stretched out his hand and said, "Lend me your phone." With her identity, she did not need such a high-tech thing like a phone. In the past, she did not have time to play games, so Shisheng did not buy one. Muyu looked at her, unlocked the phone and handed it to her. Then he took the things and went to work. Muyu's phone was very clean. It was almost the same as when he bought it. Shisheng looked through the more awesome games in this world and waited for the download to complete. Muyu looked at her a few times. She lowered her head and played with her phone. Her fingers moved quickly on the interface. The scene was very pleasing to the eye. "Xiaoyu, is your relationship with Weishi better?" Aunt Xian asked Muyu from behind the bar. Muyu looked at Aunt Xian. Aunt Xian smiled and explained. In the past, she would leave after a while. Today, she waited for you for so long. Is your relationship with her better? Muyu nodded after a while. It should be considered so. Aunt Xian said earnestly. "Xiaoyu, you have to try to communicate with people more. Don't always trap yourself in one place." Muyu did not seem to understand. He nodded and served the coffee to the customer. Aunt Xian shook her head and sighed. The coffee shop was open for a long time. However, Muyu was an hourly worker. Hence, Aunt Xian asked him to leave at around 10 p.m. After leaving the coffee shop, Shisheng played games and said, "You have a good relationship with her." Muyu thought for a while. Aunt Xian is very good. Shisheng put the phone in his pocket. "Is she as good as me?" Muyu touched the phone that was a little hot. He could not answer this question. Or rather, he did not know how to answer. He looked a little confused. Shisheng did not force him. "You will know in the future that I am only good to you." Muyu's fingers unconsciously tightened on the phone. After a while he said, "Let's go home." Paradise Street was very lively at night. All kinds of people walked through the streets. The noise made the silent night beautiful. Muyu walked past these people expressionlessly. Some people saw his appearance and wanted to go up to him. However, when they saw Shisheng behind him, they immediately gave up on this idea. Muyu's building required him to pass through several alleys. It was very dark here. Occasionally, he could hear men and women panting in the alleys. Some even started at the entrance of the alleys. Muyu was walking in front when he suddenly stopped. Shisheng bumped into him. She touched her nose. "What's wrong?" Muyu did not respond. Shisheng walked in front of him and saw his face with the help of the light from a house above. The expression on his face changed from shock to confusion, and then a little panic crept into his face. Shisheng looked at the alleys and covered his eyes. "It's nothing. Don't look." Muyu's vision fell into darkness. He was pulled into an embrace. Then he was lifted up. When he saw light again, he was already home. Qin Tong stood by the door and looked inside curiously. "Wang, someone came to see you just now." "I don't know." Qin Tong shook his head. "But I don't think he looks like a human or a demon." "Oh, he left a letter for you." Qin Tong took out an envelope and passed it to Shisheng. There was nothing on the envelope. Shisheng opened the envelope. There was only a piece of paper with a few words written on it. "Just you wait. Shisheng. This handwriting, this tone Mu Bai. Now he even knows how to provoke me. If you're so good, you should pass the letter to I personally. Why are you running away? F** King retard. ** This is a fake group. Mu Bai. I'm going online. Shisheng. I's sword has been thirsty for a long time. Mu Bai. Calm down. I need to calm down. Shisheng. Even if you calm down, it won't stop you from kneeling down. Mu Bai. Goodbye, friend. Chapter 1265. Shisheng sent the boy away and took the letter into the house. Muyu sat on the sofa, still in a daze. It wasn't until Shisheng sat down that he stood up as if someone had flipped a switch and headed straight for the bedroom. Bang! The bedroom door was slammed shut. Shisheng was speechless. What's wrong with him? Shisheng looked at the letter for a moment, then tore it up and threw it into the trash can. Muyu didn't come out until the next morning. He seemed to have forgotten what happened last night, and went to school as soon as he got up. He was bullied in class, went to work after school, and then went home. There were no other activities. He was like a robot that had been programmed by someone, moving in a straight line. Maybe the Mu family said something to Muyi, but Muyi didn't continue to cause trouble for Muyu and Shisheng after he returned to school. Instead, he studied hard. Not only did Muyi work hard, but most people in school also started to take it seriously. They were preparing for the school-to-school competition a month later. This school-to-school competition was very important for the disciples of the ordinary families. If they performed well, they might be valued by the big families and become disciples of the big families. The big families wanted to win the competition. In Shisheng's words, it was a competition to show off. Shisheng didn't have much to do in school. She slept in Muyu's class. During Muyu's practical class, she watched from the side. The only strange thing was that Yukishiro didn't talk to the male protagonist, and always liked to stay with her. Shisheng rested his chin on his hand and looked at Muyu. Weishi. Yukishiro sat down beside Shisheng and handed him the yogurt. Do you want some? Shisheng tilted his head and looked at her. Maybe it was because the word retard was written on Shisheng's face. Yukishiro realized something and took back her hand. I forgot you're a familiar. Like demons, familiars didn't need to eat. Yukishiro took a sip of the yogurt. I heard that Muyu is going to participate in the school-to-school competition. Is it true? How did you know? Yukishiro bit the straw. Well, you know the family has. She gave Shisheng a you-know-it look. The Shui clan was also considered a large clan, so it was only natural that they would receive news faster than others. However, in the story, Yukishiro was not favored by her father. Otherwise, she would not have been bullied at school. Shisheng looked at her suspiciously. Actually, I overheard it. Yukishiro smiled guiltily and asked carefully. Is it true? Shisheng looked away without saying anything. Yukishiro took Shisheng's silence as an admission. Can Muyu do it? I've never seen him fight. Everyone in the school said that it's not wise for him to participate in the school competition like this. The rules of the school competition are that there are no rules. If you die in the school competition, neither the school nor the other party will be responsible. This rule had been in place since the school was founded. However, some of the big families would reach a private agreement to stop at a certain point. However, there were still many people who died in the school competition every year. The school competition was an annual event to settle grudges. If you died, you were unlucky. No rules? It was pretty good. He knows what he is doing. Huh? Aren't you going to stop him? Yukishiro was surprised. Why should I? Shisheng asked. If he dies, you will also die. Familiars were born to serve their masters. If their masters died, their familiars would also die. You should talk to him. It's not worth it to die here. Yukishiro got up and waved at Shisheng. I'm going to class. Mu Hui had set this matter as the school competition. In a bad way, he wanted to use the school competition to get rid of Muyu and Yukishiro. 1 month was enough for them to prepare. Muyu did not see Shisheng after school. When he got off work, Shisheng slowly appeared outside the coffee shop. Muyu wanted to ask him where she had been, but he held it back and walked back. Shisheng walked up to him and put his hand in his. Are you ready? I've been waiting for you for a long time. If you wait any longer, I'll add interest. Muyu's fingertips trembled. He paused and looked at the traffic in the distance. After a while he turned around. Close your eyes. Shisheng pursed his lips and closed his eyes. He waited for a long time, but there was no reaction. When Shisheng was about to open his eyes, something soft fell on his lips. It was like a dragonfly touching the surface of the water. It only lingered for a while before it left. Shisheng opened his eyes and stared at him. That's it. Muyu looked at him in confusion. What else could he have done? Shisheng. Ah, where's Ice Sword? On the way back, Muyu could clearly feel that she was very unhappy, especially when they passed by those dark alleys. Her displeasure had reached a critical point. All it took was a little spark to make her explode. When she opened the door, Muyu asked softly, Did I not do it well? Wasn't kissing always like that? He looked at her nervously as she opened the door. When the door opened, she did not turn on the lights. Instead, she stood at the entrance and looked at him. Shisheng took a deep breath. Do you want to win the school competition? Muyu nodded. Yes. He had to win. I can teach you. What's the reward? Muyu hit the nail on the head. Shisheng chuckled. What do you have as a reward? Muyu shook his head. He had nothing. He did not know why, but what she had said earlier flashed past his mind. She had said that she had him. As long as you agree, I'll tell you the reward later. Muyu thought for a while. I won't agree to anything that crosses my bottom line. Don't worry. It's not your turn to commit murder or arson. Muyu bit her lower lip and hesitantly agreed. Okay. Ever since Shisheng said that he wanted to teach him, Muyu had another routine. After he got home from work, he would practice with Shisheng in the living room. The method that Shisheng taught him was completely different from what he had learned. What he had learned required incantations in order to execute the moves. However, what Shisheng taught him was to execute the moves directly. It was like using one's thoughts to control the power of the pentagram array, allowing it to form into the desired form before attacking the opponent. However, this method was not easy to learn. Muyu practiced for a few days, but it did not work. Muyu stood barefoot in the middle of the room. The pentagram array beneath his feet slowly dimmed. Shisheng entered the room, followed by Sly Boy who was carrying something. She glanced at Muyu. You haven't learned it yet? Muyu shook his head. Demonstrate it for him. Shisheng gestured at Sly Boy with his chin. Yes. Sly Boy put down the things and a pentagram array immediately appeared beneath his feet. He opened his arms and a pair of black wings suddenly appeared behind his back. The living room was not big to begin with. When he spread his wings, it looked even more cramped. Sly Boy retracted his wings. Master, is this okay? Not bad. Sly Child immediately ran over to Muyu and placed the food down one by one. Young Master Muyu, let's eat first. I'll practice with you later. He did not dare to say that it was easy. After all, this was King's master, and King cared a lot about him. Muyu was already used to Sly Boy coming in and out of his house. He sat on the floor and picked up his chopsticks, preparing to eat. Shisheng sighed and went forward to pick him up. Muyu's body was suddenly lifted into the air. He could only hug Shisheng's neck. He pursed his lips. Can you not carry me so casually? Asterisk requesting monthly votes. Chapter 1266. Did you see me hugging someone else? Shisheng rolled his eyes. If it was someone else, I wouldn't even dare to touch them. Sly Boy quickly moved the things over. Wong, I'll come back later. No need, I'll accompany him later. Sly Boy nodded and quickly left the room. Muyu was still in Shisheng's arms, sitting on his lap in a weird position. Muyu struggled and moved to the sofa. Don't hug me like that in front of others. Oh, can I hug you now? Shisheng raised his eyebrows and looked at Muyu. The boy's ears turned red. Weishi, you can't do this. What? I haven't done anything yet. What's wrong with that? The boy got down from the sofa and walked towards the bedroom. He walked so fast that it was as if Shisheng would chase after him and do something to him. Shisheng stared at the floor, thinking that he should buy a carpet to cover the floor when he was free. He always liked to walk barefoot on the floor. It was fine when the weather was hot, but it was easy to catch a cold when the weather was cold. Shisheng sat for a while and knocked on the door. Come out, I'll teach you. Muyu dawdled in the room for a long time before opening the door slightly. I want to rest. He didn't want to see her at this moment. Shisheng opened the door. Don't you want to win? Muyu's mind was in a mess when he heard Shisheng's words. He walked out of the bedroom. Eat your food first. Oh. Muyu quickly finished his food and cleaned up the table, but he didn't dare to look at Shisheng. After cleaning up, Muyu stood in the middle of the room. Show me what you're doing. Muyu nodded and opened the pentagram. Light flew out from it and condensed in front of him. However, just as it was about to take shape, it failed. He tried a few times, but it was the same. Shisheng hugged him from behind. Close your eyes and concentrate. Don't think about anything else. Imagine what you're going to condense in your mind. Muyu's body stiffened. He bit his lips and closed his eyes. Her voice was so soft that he couldn't help but follow her instructions. The corners of Shisheng's mouth twitched as he looked at the things floating around him. How could such a good-looking child have such terrifying thoughts? One after another, skulls appeared around her and Muyu. It was a brutal scene. Weishi. Muyu turned his head. I succeeded. It would be even better if he didn't have to be so cruel. Shisheng let go of him, and the skulls around him quickly disappeared. Muyu's mind moved, and the skulls appeared again. This time, there were more skulls than before. Shisheng. Muyu seemed to have grasped the trick, and was having fun by himself. Shisheng spent the whole night looking at skeletons. The next day, she was sprawled on her special seat in the coffee shop. Her mind was full of skeletons spinning around. What's wrong, Weishi? A fragrance drifted over and Auntie Xian sat opposite her. Why do you look so dispirited? If you look at the dense skeletons for an entire night, you will feel the same way. It's nothing. Shisheng sat up straight and patted his face. Auntie Xian smiled. Xiaoyu seems to be very happy today. Aunt Xian is also very happy that you can get along so well with Xiaoyu. No. How can you tell from that expressionless face of his that he is happy? As Auntie Xian spoke, her face suddenly turned serious. Weishi, I hope you won't hurt him. Shisheng said with a serious face. I will hurt anyone but him. Auntie Xian smiled gently. That's good. You can go back earlier today. Go and tell Xiaoyu. Shisheng glanced at Auntie Xian. Auntie Xian had an impeccable smile on her face. It was as if she didn't say those words just now. Shisheng stood up and left. Auntie Xian's hands under the table were covered in cold sweat. This way her gaze seemed to be able to see through people. She turned her head to look at the door. Just as she was talking to Muyu, Muyu looked over at her. She immediately raised the corner of her mouth and smiled, indicating that he could leave. Muyu then went to change his clothes and left the coffee shop with Shisheng. Muyu was already used to Shisheng holding his hand. However, today, Shisheng was a little absent-minded. When they came out of the coffee shop, she put her hand back into her pocket. Muyu looked away and quickened his pace. She caught up with him and held his hand. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something just now. Muyu's lips curled up a little. However, he pulled it back the next second. What are you thinking about? Shisheng pondered for a moment. Do you know Auntie Xian? I don't know her. I have to go to school. Very few people hire part-time workers. Auntie Xian's coffee shop is open until very late. That's why I work here. Shisheng concluded. I feel that she knows you. After a pause, Shisheng quickly added. Don't ask me why. It's just my intuition. Muyu was puzzled. If she knows me, why didn't she tell me? I don't know. If I knew, why would I ask you? I don't know her. Muyu repeated. Let's go back. Shisheng squeezed his hand. Muyu's face turned to the side. The night was dark, and it covered the redness on his ears. Shisheng did not mention Auntie Xian again. Muyu did not go to work at the coffee shop because the school competition was around the corner. His recent salary was enough for him to live for a while. Of course, it was mainly because Qin Tong brought him breakfast and dinner. One morning Muyu woke up early and saw Shisheng giving money to Qin Tong. When he was eating breakfast he asked Shisheng, Where did you get the money from? I stole it. Shisheng still said the same thing. It's not like I can make it. After breakfast, Muyu went back to his room and took out a card. He handed it to Shisheng. Use mine. You. This amount of money was not even enough to buy 2 breakfasts. Shisheng swallowed his words and took the card. The password is my student number. Muyu took his bag and went out. When he reached the door he asked again, Are you going to school today? Do you want me to go with you? Muyu pursed his lips and did not say anything. Sometimes she would not go to school, but she would wait for him at the school gate after school. Muyu did not know what was wrong with him. Sometimes he would panic when he did not see her. Shisheng put the card in his pocket. Let's go. Shisheng did not wear his school uniform, so he always climbed over the wall to get in. Other than the first time he met the president. Today was the second time Shisheng met the president. There was a body lying at her feet, and in front of her stood several members of the student union. She suddenly jumped in, and the group of people looked at her in confusion. The president said calmly, "Miss Weishi, you are not wearing your school uniform. Why are you climbing over the wall?" "I don't dare to wear your school uniform. I'm afraid of causing a car accident in school." Shisheng patted the dust on the wall. She had a good figure, so she was confident. The president looked Shisheng up and down and smiled. "Miss Weishi has a good figure, but this is not the reason why you don't wear your school uniform. Are you sure you don't want to deal with the body? You want to talk about my school uniform?" There was such a big body lying on the ground, and this president was still talking about whether she was wearing her school uniform or not. No one was so careless. Chapter 1267. The president smiled. Corpses don't run. Shisheng was speechless. "There's a pervert here. I'm so scared." The first time they met, Shisheng thought the president was a little retarded. The second time they met, Shisheng could feel the president's perverted aura shining on the earth. Shisheng rolled his eyes. "What's the crime of hitting the president?" The president continued to smile. 10 days of confinement. F***ck, you guys even punish people? Shisheng glared. That's right. If they didn't punish people physically, why would they hit a porcelain doll? No, he had to avenge his wife. Regardless of whether the president was involved or not, he was the president and a pervert. There was nothing wrong with him being punished. Host, don't accuse him. Maybe he doesn't know? He even said confinement. How could he not know? I don't care if you believe it or not. It's just a small punishment. It's not considered physical punishment. This is allowed by the school. The president was still smiling. His smile looked gentle and amiable, but no one knew that there was a sharp blade hidden under his smile. He paused and then said, "If Miss Weishi wants to experience real corporal punishment, I can make an exception." Shisheng was speechless. "I don't want to experience it. Thank you, pervert." Shisheng narrowed his eyes. Under the president's smile, he quickly drew his sword and slashed at him. However, the president seemed to be prepared. He reached out and pushed aside a member of the student union. A pentagram appeared under his feet. A light blue whirlwind flew out of the pentagram and wrapped around Shisheng's iron sword. The iron sword slashed past them and cut a gully in the ground. Everyone looked at the gully in shock. If it hit them, their whole body would be split open. "Miss Weishi, don't be so irritable so early in the morning." The president brushed his clothes that were messed up by the sword. The pentagram under his feet rotated slowly. A light blue light flashed in his eyes. He looked even more like a pervert. "You're the one who picked on me first. If you didn't deal with the corpse, would I, your father, have done it? I's time is so precious. I don't have time to play with perverts." "President, she's too arrogant." The members of the student union hid behind the president and condemned Shisheng angrily. He actually attacked them without saying a word. Uniform is a school rule. The president remained unmoved and continued to smile. Shisheng pinched his fingers. He really wanted to go up and tear this pervert apart. "I've already achieved the achievement of being expelled. What's the point of holding on to me and not letting go?" Shisheng sneered. "I'm only here because the Mu family is pressuring me. Even if you have a demerit on your record, can you kick me out?" "No." Shisheng was furious. "Then why are you grabbing me?" "Fun." Shisheng. "Fun my ass. Where is I's sword?" Shisheng swung his sword at the president again. The president dodged to the side. As he moved, wisps of wind flowed out of the pentagram and quickly wrapped around Shisheng. The wind was very gentle and didn't seem to be lethal. It was the same as the first impression that the president gave people. However, when they got closer, the wisps of wind separated into countless thin lines that intertwined and tightened, trapping them in the middle. The president only needed to think about it, and the people trapped in the middle would be cut into countless pieces by these thin lines. But now Shisheng was trapped in the middle. President is so powerful. I told you that the president wouldn't be afraid of Weishi. Our president is the most powerful. A group of brainless fans behind him worshipped the president. Then I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. The most powerful one is definitely me. Even a pervert had brainless fans, but she didn't. Bad review. After Shisheng said that, he raised his iron sword. The blade touched the thin lines and the thin lines bent very flexibly. After about 3 seconds, the first thin line broke, followed by the second. All the thin lines turned back into the wind and disappeared into the air. Everyone. The president was forced to retreat a distance. He didn't show any surprise that Shisheng broke his move. Instead, he withdrew the pentagram and turned slightly to the side. Miss Weishi, I'll pretend that I didn't see what happened today. Of course, you have to pretend that you didn't see it. The president was referring to the corpse on the ground. Shisheng looked at him suspiciously. What was this pervert doing? Did he know that he couldn't beat him? Shisheng wanted to beat this pervert up, but he saw Muyu coming over from the corner of his eye. He immediately put away his sword. Don't leave after school if you dare. The president. Shisheng hurried over to Muyu's side. Muyu stopped and exchanged glances with the president from afar. When Shisheng came closer, he had already looked away. Did he find trouble with you? Muyu asked. Maybe. What did that mean? I'm not sure. Shisheng wasn't sure if it was a coincidence or if he was waiting for him there. Muyu turned around. Don't bump into him when you walk through the school gate in the future. Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Are you that afraid of him? Muyu tilted his head. Afraid? No. He seemed to be thinking about how to describe it. After a while, he spat out a few words. He's very annoying. Shisheng. He was indeed the villain boss. In his eyes, a pervert was just annoying? I'm convinced. The student union came out today to make their presence known, and also to speed up Shisheng's schedule. She started to deal with those who bullied Muyu one by one. Some of them were heard from Weishi's memory, and some were forced out by Shisheng. In short, Shisheng taught those who had touched Muyu a lesson. She would return the favor in the same way that they had touched Muyu. Of course, no one knew how many times she would return. It all depended on her mood. Thank goodness for this weird school. It would be fine if she didn't beat them to death. The only thing that made Shisheng unhappy was that the president didn't touch Muyu. He had no excuse to beat him up. The president wasn't in school most of the time. It was said that he was practicing demon cleansing cultivation outside. Demon cleansing cultivation was to run around and destroy demons. It was commonly known as traveling on public funds. The school competition was coming soon, so the president had to come back to preside over the overall situation. Student union. It was a regular meeting today. The president sat at the top while the others sat on both sides. They were discussing the issue of Shisheng beating people up. Guildmaster, is Weishi crazy? She's been targeting us and the school asked us to suppress it. Are we just going to let her beat us up for nothing? If we continue to let her do as she pleases, is she going to beat up everyone in the student union? Weishi is too much. I don't know what's wrong with the Mu family. The president raised his hand and the chattering quieted down. The president then said slowly, she's avenging Muyu. You all know what you've done when I wasn't in school. She has the Mu family backing her up now. I can't do anything to her. If you're not convinced, you can fight back. Everyone. Flip the table. If they could fight back, would they still be complaining here? Asterisk monthly votes. Monthly votes. Chapter 1268. This is your own problem. Settle it yourselves. The president's gaze swept across everyone. Meeting adjourned. It was fine if no one died in a fight in school, but the problem was that this was a demonic spirit. She beat people up. Everyone was in a deadlock for a while before leaving the meeting room. The president meant that he would not interfere in this matter. The president stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. He looked at the students below with a cold expression. There was no trace of gentleness or approachability left. He looked further into the distance. The school competition. He was really looking forward to it. Shisheng was already quite famous, but now she was even more of a hot topic. Most of the reason was because she had caused a huge commotion in the student union. A small part of the reason was because Muyu was too intimate with her. A demon cleanser's partner would usually be a demon cleanser. Their offspring would also be a demon cleanser. Of course, they could also choose a human. However, very few people were with a demonic spirit. Demonic spirits could not give birth. In their words, demonic spirits were not even humans. They were just tools that could be summoned from the book of demonic spirits. A person could only have one demonic spirit at a time. However, if the demonic spirit died, a second demonic spirit could be summoned. Therefore, in such a race, no one would be with a demonic spirit, unless they loved each other so much that they could die for each other. It was said that demon cleansers who were with demonic spirits did not have a good ending. Therefore, when Shisheng and Muyu were too intimate, they became the focus of attention. Muyu did not react. It was as if she could not hear those people's discussions. Shisheng wanted the whole world to know that Muyu was hers. As long as she did not hear those nasty words, she would pretend that she did not hear them. What have you been doing recently? Muyu and Shisheng walked side by side to the practice field for the practical class. Beating people up. Shisheng lowered her head and played her game. She did not forget to complain. Those people can't take a beating at all. Muyu suddenly reached out to support her. Be careful. There were a few steps in front of them. Shisheng would miss a step if she took another 2 steps. Shisheng wanted to say that she had already memorized this path. How could she miss a step? However, she thought about it and decisively swallowed her words. She looked sideways at Muyu. Help me walk. Muyu's hand, which was about to retract, paused. He held her waist and said, Did you go against the people from the student council for me? The people she had beaten up were all people who had once embarrassed him. Shisheng rolled his eyes. Of course. Even if he didn't ask, he already knew the answer. Do you want to cancel the contract? Shisheng looked up. What are you thinking about all day? If I wanted to cancel the contract, I would definitely torture you to death, and not flatter you like now. Do you understand? Muyu recalled that at the very beginning, she had indeed tortured her to death. It's all right. Muyu mumbled. You can continue playing the game. Shisheng poked the screen with her fingertips. After a while, she turned off the screen and grabbed Muyu. Her expression was especially serious. Muyu, you are very important to me. Every word I said to you is true. If I can't tell you something, I won't say a word. I can give you time to adjust, to accept. However, if you keep questioning me, I'm not sure what I'll do. Muyu was a little upset. I didn't doubt you. He didn't know what he wanted to confirm. His heart was in a mess. Shisheng didn't know if she felt that her words were too harsh or something else, but her expression softened. Try to believe me. Muyu lowered his head, like a child who had done something wrong. Shisheng sighed and reached out to hug him. Take it slow. I can wait. If Muyu wasn't so delicate, she would have slept with him directly. But damn it, she felt that she would be a beast if she did anything to him. Weishi Muyu. Yukishiro's voice came from the side. Shisheng let go of Muyu and turned to look at Yukishiro. What are you doing here again? Why did the female lead always like to come to her place? Yukishiro put her hand to her lips and pretended to clear her throat. Be careful. Everyone in the school is talking about you too. How dare you hug each other so brazenly? Go talk about them. Why are you looking for me? Oh right. Yukishiro's attention was immediately diverted. She took out a stack of documents from her bag. This is the entry form for this year's school competition. You have to fill it out. The last page is the life and death agreement. You have to sign it. After signing it, your life and death has nothing to do with anyone. Muyu took the form and filled it out on the spot. Yukishiro pulled Shisheng aside. He's really going to participate? I heard that Muyi is also going to participate. Even if he's not going to face Muyi, other people, he will also. Shisheng didn't listen to Yukishiro at all. Instead, he asked, Is there any strange development between you and Muyi? Yukishiro was confused. What strange development could there be between me and him? What's the word strange development? You don't blush or have your heart beat faster when you see him. Yukishiro was speechless. She reached out to touch Shisheng's head. I don't have a fever. Shisheng pushed her hand away. You really don't have any feelings for Muyi? The female lead has no feelings for the male lead? That's a little scary. Yukishiro was speechless. Sister Weishi, I've only seen Muyi twice. How could I have feelings for him? Do you really think that I have to chase after him just because all the girls in school chase after him? He's not a heartthrob. Shisheng was speechless. The male lead is indeed a heartthrob. Which 2 times? She felt that there was something wrong with these 2 times. Yukishiro thought for a while. The first time was when you threw him out of the dormitory. The second time was when you beat him up on the field. Shisheng was speechless. She had secretly beaten him up on the field. She had looked around and there was no one around. Why was the female lead there? My dear female lead, you have a bad habit of peeping. She had seen the male lead get beaten up twice, this time. I'm really dumbfounded by this CP. No, I'm talking about you. Why are you dragging me into this? Yukishiro reacted. The school competition is coming soon. There will be fights in the early stages. You guys have to be careful. In order to reduce the number of competitors, some people would fight before the school competition started. Anyway, the school didn't care. As long as they could make people unable to get out of bed and participate in the competition, it would be fine. Your school is very classy. Shisheng patted the female lead's shoulder. You guys know how to have fun. It was scarier than a fantasy world. Weishi, I'm serious. You have to be careful. The school is not as simple as it seems. There are many hidden talents. Okay, I know. Yukishiro wanted to continue persuading her, but there was a form in front of her, blocking her and Shisheng. Yukishiro looked at the life and death contract that had been signed. She was speechless. How could he write so fast? There was no room for negotiation once the contract was signed. Asterisk, I have a very serious question to ask. Mo ling 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 ling. 3 drops, not 2 drops. Repeat after me. Ling ling ling. My stomach hurts. Don't read it wrong again. Chapter 1269. Yukishiro ran back to Shisheng after handing out the forms to the others. She sat outside the practice area and chatted with him. Yukishiro, the female lead, sometimes acted like a saint, but she was also a saint who suffered from fits and starts. Shisheng still hadn't figured out what the conditions were for Yukishiro Saintess to choose her. In the end, she was too lazy to think about it. Yukishiro Saintess's targets were all people with normal backgrounds. There were no instances of her joining the enemy camp. When she was not acting like a saint, Yukishiro was a smart and sensible girl. No wonder she was able to beat the male lead's partners and become the female lead. If I can't get into the top 50 this time, I will have to rely on myself. Yukishiro poked Shisheng. Weishi, are you listening to me? Yes, I am. You said that your stepmother and her daughter want to kick you out of the Shui family and take over the family property. Shisheng concluded. It was a melodramatic fight between rich families. Yukishiro hugged her legs and rested her chin on her knees. I don't care about the Shui family's property, but I can't just give it to them. She had never told anyone about these things. Perhaps Shisheng made her feel comfortable, so she wouldn't spread the news just because she said it. Yukishiro was the kind of person who would forget what she said after she said it. She did not care about other people's business. She was a perfect match for Yukishiro. If Shisheng knew that Yukishiro treated her like Yukishiro, she would definitely kill her. Then let's win. I want to win, but it's not that easy. The school competition was a cruel thing. You could lose your life if you were not careful. What's your sister's name? Shisheng suddenly turned around and asked. Ufa. Another cannon fodder. Shisheng patted her shoulder. Don't be afraid, girl. Just do it. It's not a big deal. Yukishiro did not break down. She did not do anything to her. Her halo was still there and she would not die. Yukishiro's mouth twitched. Weishi, are you trying to comfort me or scare me? Was breaking an arm or a leg as simple as breaking a hair in her eyes? You're not afraid of scaring people anymore after scaring them so many times. Sheng had an unfathomable expression on his face. Yukishiro was speechless. F***ck. Sheng suddenly shot out and ran toward the practice field. Yukishiro blinked and looked over. Muyu was tied to a pillar on the training ground. She quickly chased after Sheng. There were a lot of people in the training ground at this time. There were people practicing outside, and the light from the star atlas intertwined, blocking the scene inside. Sheng wouldn't have noticed it if a few people hadn't suddenly scattered. A monster will always be a monster. How disgusting to be together with his own familiar. Sheng rushed to the front and happened to hear these words. She raised her leg and kicked him. F***cku. That person staggered from the kick, and was caught by the person behind him, preventing him from falling to the ground. Sheng put Muyu down. There was a red mark on Muyu's wrist. Sheng's murderous aura suddenly thickened. Muyu held her hand and shook his head. No, I have to beat him up. Sheng retorted directly. Muyu let go of his hand, and took a step back. F***ck. The person on the other side cursed and suddenly glanced at Sheng's chest maliciously. Weishi, what's so good about this guy? Why are you so protective of him? Look at his small body. Do you think he can satisfy you? Sheng twisted his neck, and pulled out a sinister smile. Don't worry, I'll satisfy you. The people on the other side shuddered. The students in the practice field watched a one-sided beating. The people from the student union arrived in time, but to no avail. They were almost beaten up together. How could there be such a violent familiar? Didn't they say that familiars would be limited by their master's strength? Why didn't the school do anything about it? This familiar was about to destroy the school. The school was also helpless. There was no news from the Mu family, so they just told them not to do anything. What could they do? They were the real bosses. After school, Sheng stood in a secluded area of the school to keep a lookout. From time to time, strange screams could be heard. Yukishiro appeared out of nowhere and ran over. Weishi, where's Muyu? He's beating someone up. Sheng pointed his chin inside. Yukishiro heard the suppressed screams. The corner of her mouth twitched. Why didn't Muyu fight back? Maybe he's crazy. She didn't really understand this idiot. He always made a mess of himself and then got back at her. Muyu was not weak. It could be seen from the way he dealt with the people from the Mu family. However, he rarely fought in school. The biggest possibility was that he didn't want people to know that he had a contract with a demon. Yukishiro gave him a thumbs up. Was it true love? Why aren't you leaving? Sheng looked at Yukishiro. There's a fight at the school gate. I wanted to go out from the back door, and saw you. Fight. Yukishiro nodded. Yeah. Muyu got into a fight with someone. I think it's because of a woman. Anyway, they started fighting. The most common thing to see in this school was a fight. Although the demon cleanser was not very strong, he didn't die easily and recovered quickly. The male lead was seen by the female lead fighting with someone over a woman. Based on her current state of mind, it would be difficult for her to have an affair with the male lead. Sheng and Yukishiro chatted for a while. Then Muyu came out. There was a faint smell of blood on him. However, there were still screams, which proved that he was not dead. Yukishiro suddenly realized that Muyu was a little scary. He was not as scary as the other geniuses in school. Instead, he had a different kind of aura. It was oppressive and dull. However, Sheng was not afraid at all. He held Muyu's hand naturally. Muyu's aura suddenly weakened and disappeared. He became a weak and beautiful young man. Yukishiro was speechless. That was amazing. Don't see blood next time. She didn't dislike the smell of blood on her body, but she didn't like it either. Okay. Muyu answered expressionlessly. Let's go and watch the show. Sheng held Muyu's hand and walked toward the school gate. Hey. Yukishiro was stunned. She jogged to catch up. Weishi, the student council, is also there. You will get into a fight. The student council was not on the same page as her. They would fight whenever they met. Even if they couldn't win, they had to fight. Even if they lost, they couldn't lose. You can't beat me. What are you afraid of? Sheng waved at her. You can go back. Yukishiro was speechless. He was right. She didn't know what to say. Yukishiro paused for a few seconds and followed him. Asterisk, this is a fake group. Police. Another brother. Welcome, welcome. National Security Agency. The National Security Agency sent a congratulatory message. Drug Enforcement Team. The Drug Enforcement Team sent a congratulatory message. Jianghu Sex. All the major sects sent a congratulatory message. Harem Group. The Harem Group sent a congratulatory message. System. Why did the Harem Group join again? Student Council. Chapter 1270. The entrance of the school was surrounded by people. Shisheng found a high spot. There were already people there. Seeing her come up, the group of people immediately moved aside to make space for her. She was so observant. Shisheng thought highly of her. Shisheng sat on the top and took out some sunflower seeds to watch the show. At this time, the male protagonist was still fighting with another boy. The boy had a familiar, and the male protagonist was alone. So now the male protagonist was fighting 1 against 2. I bet on Brother Bin. Brother Bin won against young Master Mu last time. I bet on him too. I bet on young Master Mu. Shisheng turned to look at the spectators next door. They were placing bets on their phones. You can gamble in your school? Shisheng looked at Yukishiro strangely. Yes. Yukishiro nodded. The Cleansing Devil Forum has a betting system. Many people use it when there are competitions or fights. She took out her phone, opened the forum, and handed it to Shisheng. Here, this section is very lively. It's also the fastest place to make money. This forum covered not only the school but also all the Cleansing Devil Forum in the world. There were many sections, just like the official website of the Cleansing Devil Forum. Shisheng glanced at it. At the top were Muyi and Jiabin's names. Jiabin should be the boy's name. Shisheng asked Muyi to take out her phone. He frowned and handed it to her. Shisheng opened the forum and clicked on the betting column. However, betting required the forum coins, which could be exchanged. However, Muyi didn't recharge at all. Shisheng bound his card and recharged it. Muyi watched him enter the numbers and bit his lower lip. That was all the money in his card. Weishi. If he lost the bet, he would have to work for a long time to save some money. I'll make sure you win. Shisheng gave Muyi a reassuring look. He clicked on the screen a few times and placed all his bets on Muyi's side. Yukishiro's eyes widened. Weishi, Jiabin is stronger than Muyi. Why are you betting on Muyi? Jiabin was very famous in the school. Judging from the current situation, Jiabin had the upper hand. Muyi knows how to hack. How could male lead Darren be defeated by a cannon fodder? Moreover, it was in front of a beauty. Just wait for male lead Darren to make a beautiful counterattack and slap his face. It was all a ploy. Hacks. Yukishiro was confused. What kind of hacks was this? This was not a game. Below, Muyi had been forced into a desperate situation and was about to lose. Jiabin probably felt that victory was in sight, so he relaxed a little. However, at this moment, an afterimage suddenly appeared beside Muyi and shot towards Jiabin. Jiabin was shocked and quickly defended himself. However, it was too late. The afterimage revealed itself and a pentagram appeared. Jiabin was sent flying. Gasps could be heard all around. Muyi actually won. Jiabin fell to the ground and couldn't get up even after trying twice. He glared at Muyi in anger. You cheated. Muyi sneered. You used a familiar, why can't I? Jiabin had used his familiar from the start, and Muyi hadn't, so it couldn't be considered cheating. Jiabin was speechless, but he was a little unwilling, so he started to challenge Muyi. Muyi, I'll teach you a lesson in the school competition. I'll wait for you. Muyi answered without fear. Jiabin left with the help of his underlings. Muyi turned and walked towards a girl. The familiar stood in place, thinking about something and didn't follow Muyi. That familiar should have been Muyu's. It was a very powerful familiar. After being contracted by Muyi, there was some friction in the beginning. Perhaps Muyi thought that it was Muyu's, so he didn't cherish it. It was only later that Muyi started to cherish this familiar. Of course, there was definitely some ambiguity. If the female lead hadn't appeared in time, they would have had sex. Sigh, I should have joined young Master Mu. Young Master Mu is so powerful now. It seems that we have to think carefully before placing our bets during the school competition. It's not that I want to say this, but we're all from the Mu family. Why? That person's voice stopped abruptly. He covered his mouth and looked at the Shisheng. He kept slapping himself in his heart. That's what you get for talking so much. This god of plague was still standing there, and he still dared to speak without thinking. Shisheng looked away and lowered his head to press on his phone, exchanging all the money he had won. There weren't many people betting this time. Fortunately, there were a few die-hard fans of Jia Bin, so he made a small profit. It would be stupid not to make money. Wei Shi, how did you know he would win? Yukishiro didn't believe in cheating. He was the male lead. If he didn't win, who would? Was the male lead a decoration? I guessed. Shisheng pulled Muyu. Let's go home. Yukishiro followed step by step. She was still following them until they reached Paradise Street. Of course, the topic had jumped from why Muyu would win to why they lived here. The first reason why Muyu chose this place was that he didn't have much money and the rent here was cheap. The second reason was that there were all kinds of people here, so he could avoid the Mu family's attention. Master, you're back. Jiao Tong ran downstairs to greet him. When he saw someone, he stepped back with a face full of horror. There was a purifying evil master. Why did the master bring the purifying evil master back? Why is he so afraid of me? Yukishiro pinched her face. Do I look scary? Did he call you master? Aren't you Muyu's familiar? Yukishiro's head was full of question marks. What was going on? Shisheng went upstairs, and Cunning Tong disappeared in a flash. He didn't want to stay with the purifying evil master. Yukishiro looked at the direction where Jiao Tong disappeared and followed Shisheng upstairs. Looking at the shabby one-room apartment, Yukishiro suddenly felt that she was living a good life. Although her stepmother and stepsister always made things difficult for her, at least she was better off than ordinary people. The Mu family's discrimination is too much. Muyi always had a luxury car when he went out. What about Muyu? Living in such a place, it was no wonder that her personality was so. Shisheng poured her a glass of water. Why did you come back with me? You didn't answer my question. So I came back with you. Yukishiro scratched her head. She was so focused on asking questions that she didn't notice that she had followed him home. Yukishiro was embarrassed. She didn't drink the water and left with her bag. I'm going back now. See you tomorrow. Shisheng rolled his eyes and shouted. Jiao Tong, send her out. Jiao Tong appeared at the door. He poked his head in and asked carefully. Master, are you sure you want me to send her out? This was the purifying evil master. The purifying evil master. She would destroy him. She can't kill you. Shisheng said impatiently. Paradise Street is your territory. Why are you still alive if you can't run away? Jiao Tong thought for a moment. Right, Paradise Street was his territory. He would be able to outrun a purifying evil master. Yukishiro was still confused. Why did she want to kill him? What were they talking about? Chapter 1271. Cunning Tong walked Yukishiro out of the school. Yukishiro turned around and was about to say something when Cunning Tong stepped back. Yukishiro was speechless. Cunning Tong followed Yukishiro from afar. He only heaved a sigh of relief when he saw her getting into the car. He was scared to death. Fortunately, she was just a student. If she was one of the people who came last time, he would have been exposed. What are you looking at? Watch out for your skin if you dare to follow her. Cunning Tong yelled at the few people who were peeking around. The few people immediately dispersed. It was better not to provoke that person. The next day, Shisheng heard people talking about a dead person when he arrived at school. It was okay to fight, but not a dead person. The dead person was found by the janitor, who came to clean the school in the morning. The janitor was frightened and ran out to call for help. The students who came early heard the news and the student union did not have time to cover it up. Everyone in the school was talking about it. Moreover, the dead person was one of the people who had a conflict with Muyu yesterday. At that time, a lot of people at the training ground saw Muyu having a conflict with them. Naturally, Sheng was the suspect. Muyu? In the eyes of these students, he was a good-for-nothing. How could he kill so many people? As the person with the most motive, Sheng was invited by the student union to have a cup of tea. Miss Weishi, we meet again. The president smiled and pulled out a chair for Sheng. Please have a seat. You can't find the murderer, so you want me to take the blame? Sheng looked at the president. The president smiled. Miss Weishi, I can't do anything about the orders from the higher-ups. Why don't you cooperate? Do you want me to kill myself in front of you? Cooperate my ass. If Miss Weishi is willing to help, I will be happy. President, you are so thick-skinned that you can build a school gate. Sheng sneered. If you dare to put the blame on me, I will tell everyone that there is a demon in the school. The president's face changed. Miss Weishi, how do you know that there is a demon in the school? Sheng smiled and activated the pentagram under his feet. Do you think I don't know? Don't pretend. Didn't you already know who I am? Tell that idiot Mubai, if I can kill him once, I can kill him twice. This time, the president's expression really changed. After a while he said, I don't know where I exposed myself. Sheng stared at him and smiled. That smile caused goosebumps to appear all over the president's body. A chill ran down the back of his neck as cold sweat crept up his back. Sheng shrugged innocently. No, I'm just bluffing. The only person who would spend so much effort to scheme against her was Mubai, that idiot. It was not hard to guess. There are always idiots scheming against me behind my back. I'm scared. President. Didn't Mubai tell you not to casually answer my questions? President. It doesn't matter even if Miss Weishi knows. The president recovered his smile and said slowly, Mr. Mu said that this is just a small gift for Miss Weishi. The best part is yet to come. He's just a coward. What gift? He's just trying to trick you into being his cannon fodder. Mubai did not dare to show his face. If he did, he knew that he was not far from death. He was good at scheming and plotting, but he was definitely not her opponent when it came to fighting. Since he could not beat her, he could only cause trouble behind her back. The president acted as if he did not hear Sheng's words. Miss Weishi, wait and see. You can blame this on me, but if you dare to drag Muyu into this, I guarantee that you won't even have the chance to be cannon fodder. Wait and see, right? Wait and see your ass. I will go out and cause trouble in a while. Sheng kicked the table and left. After Sheng left, the smile on the president's face slowly faded. Then it turned pale. He opened his palm, and it was scarlet. He almost used all his strength to not show his embarrassment in front of her. This feeling was the same as when he faced Mr. Mu. It was even scarier. After Sheng left the student union, he immediately thought of ways to spread several rumors. The news that there was a demon lurking in the school spread quickly throughout the school. Most of the students who had not been in close contact with a demon were still very scary. The students were panicking, and the school asked the student union to quickly calm them down. The president. Didn't we say that we could blame it on you? You just went out and spread the news, and the whole school knew about it. Can you not say one thing and do another? The president sent people to calm the students, but some pictures appeared on the forum. These pictures were all of the students who died in the school. There were pictures of the scene and pictures of corpses. Seeing the pictures, the president rubbed his temples and quickly took out his computer to check the information he had saved. However, it was empty, and there was only a document left. The title of the document, Click on Me. The president could not help but shake his hand. With this shake, the document was opened. The document was very normal, and there were no strange pictures. There were only a few words in bold block letters. Greeting gift, you're welcome. Greeting gift, she returned it so quickly? The president tried to delete the pictures on the forum, but as soon as they did, new posts would appear immediately. In the end, even the forum administrator was banned. The president sent all the members of the student union away and asked, Mr. Mu, what do we do now? Now the students were collectively scolding the student union for not doing a good job and hiding such a big thing. If a family was involved, the school would definitely use the student union as a scapegoat in order to distance themselves. You're asking me? A voice sounded from the void. She doesn't play by the rules. How would I know? Think about it yourself. Mu Bai was also very desperate. He thought that she would kill him if she knew that he was one of her people. Even if she did not kill him, she would beat him up. However, she just said a few words and left, and then this thing happened. It did not match his plan at all. What could he do when there was an opponent who did not play by the rules? He just wanted to be alone. Don't ask him who that was. The president's face changed slightly. Mr. Mu, you don't want to do anything? Mu Bai pondered for a moment. Why don't you expose her identity? The Mu family is suppressing it. I'm afraid that I will be executed on the spot before I can say anything. The Mu family wanted to hide this matter, and they must have spies everywhere in the school. His authority was only in the student union. Could he fight with the Mu family? Then I have no choice. You have no choice, but you still sound so relaxed. Who are you trying to fool? The president felt that Mu Bai must have a backup plan, but he was not willing to do it now. The president did not know what he was waiting for, but he knew that if he did not do it, he would lose something even if he was fine. His chest rose and fell quickly, and his eyes darkened. Mr. Mu, why don't we link this matter to Muyu? Didn't she care about Muyu? Using Muyu would definitely turn things around. Mu Bai's tone was a little strange. You're lucky. You go, I won't participate. He wanted to live for a few more seconds. Bah. Live until the end. Chapter 1272. Demons had attacked the students more than a month ago, but the members of the student union kept it a secret. Both the students and their parents were furious. They had stayed in the school with the demons for a month. Protesting students were demanding an explanation from the student union. Of course, there were also fans of the president who were arguing with them. Fans. The president did it to prevent panic. What's wrong with keeping it a secret? Protesting students. Not causing panic, but putting so many of us in danger? Who will be responsible if something happens to us? Fans. If you're afraid, how can you fight the demons when you leave the school? Protesting students. It's not about being afraid. It's about the student union. Don't change the topic. Blah blah. The two sides were arguing fiercely. Yukishiro was a little confused. She went to Shisheng to explain. It's obvious that someone was found dead, and they were still calling you the murderer. Why is everyone attacking the student council in the blink of an eye? When she didn't know, what had happened that she didn't know about? This was definitely not a problem with her IQ. It was likely that most people did not understand what was going on. Maybe the student union is easy to bully. Shisheng said. Yukishiro. Nonsense. The student union was supported by the school. How could it be easy to bully them? You're the one who is easy to bully. Well, it seemed that they were not easy to bully. Yukishiro glanced at Muyu, who was reading a book. She gulped again. The Mu family was rumored to be a good-for-nothing. Wei-si. Yukishiro leaned toward Shisheng. Do you think there are demons in this school? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. What do you think? Yukishiro looked around and said in a low voice, the school competition is about to start. If a few people die, we can blame it on the demons and find a scapegoat. That makes sense. Shisheng nodded. Why don't I kill a few people too? Yukishiro. That was not what she meant. Why was she focusing on this? Yukishiro took a deep breath. Wei-si, do you think it's man-made or real demons? Is it important? Shisheng flipped his hair and laughed arrogantly. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. As long as the fire doesn't spread to me, it doesn't matter to me. Yukishiro's mouth twitched. What's important to you? Shisheng glanced at the person beside him and said concisely, him. Then aren't you afraid that someone will target him? Now that the school was in a mess, the student union was besieged, and some people who wanted to cause trouble would also take advantage of this time to do something. By then, who would be able to find out anything? Don't be afraid, no one can touch him. Yukishiro looked at Shisheng. She felt that Shisheng was being too arrogant, but she couldn't help but believe her. The arrogance and conceit she exuded was not like the empty shell of others. She had strength. Muyu, who was beside him, hadn't turned the page for a long time. The words on the page were crooked and blurry. His eyes were empty, and his heart was beating faster and faster along with the voices beside him. Who was she? This question had been lingering in his heart for a long time. In the past, this question would pop up from time to time, reminding him that the person with him was not Wei Shi. Her purpose was unknown, and he needed to be vigilant. But he didn't know when this question started to become unimportant. Since when? That's right, since that kiss, this question had never appeared again. He hadn't carefully recalled that kiss. He even intended to forget it. Now that he thought about it, his face suddenly became hot. Her breath made him feel very comfortable and somewhat familiar. What's wrong? Are you sick? A pair of hands suddenly covered his forehead. Muyu was startled, and the book in his hand fell to the ground. He looked up blankly and met a pair of calm eyes. His face was clearly reflected in those eyes. Why is your face so red? Muyu glanced to the side. Yukishiro had left without him noticing. He got up and avoided Shisheng's gaze. Nothing. What were you thinking about? Nothing. Muyu bent down to pick up the book, stuffed it into his bag, and left with his bag. Shisheng caught up with him. You look so guilty. Are you thinking about something strange? No. Muyu's face had returned to normal. He was always able to adjust his emotions quickly. Don't follow me. Muyu suddenly turned around. Let me be alone. Shisheng shrugged and made a pleased gesture. Muyu pursed his lips, turned around, and left quickly. The matter spread very quickly. In the afternoon, some parents came to the school and demanded a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, this matter would not be over. Now, everywhere in the school was talking about this matter. Shisheng wandered around the school in boredom. These people wisely stayed away from her when they saw her, not wanting to court death. Who would dare to provoke a bully who could single-handedly challenge the student council, and was now suspected of murder? You were the one who bumped into me first. How can you be so reasonable? Xue Fei, is such an unreasonable person really your sister? Don't say that. Yukio is not that kind of person. A sweet voice defended Yukio. Yukio, you should apologize. You were the one who bumped into Nana. Shisheng looked around and rested his eyes on a few people in front of the school's store. There were some snacks scattered around Yukio's feet, and there were two girls standing in front of her. One of them was the girl who saved the damsel in distress, and the other one was a stranger. Judging from her words, she must be Yukio's stepsister. Both girls were very beautiful. Although they were both in school uniforms, one was sweet and cute, and the other was mature and seductive. They stood in front of the store, and made many boys stop and look back. Nana, let me apologize on her behalf. She is so stubborn. Xue Fei tugged at Nana's sleeve. What does this have to do with you? Why are you apologizing on her behalf? She doesn't appreciate it. Nana poked Xue Fei. Then she shouted at Yukio. Yukio, apologize. Yukio stood still. Nana's expression changed, and she raised her hand to slap Yukio's face. Slap. Yukio's head tilted to one side. Apparently she was hit hard. Yukio, I'm warning you. If you dare to mess with Xue Fei again, I will not let you off with just a slap. Nana snorted and said to Yukio arrogantly. Yukio's face was burning. Maybe it was because of Shisheng. She raised her hand and slapped back. Who bullied her? You bumped into me. What does it have to do with me? Chapter 1273. Nana was about to fight back, but when she reached out her hand, she retracted it and was hit by Yukishiro. Her body fell backward. A gust of wind blew and Nana was caught by someone. She covered her face with her hands. She was as arrogant as a peacock a moment ago, but now she was like a baby bird that had lost its protection, and was lying in the arms of the person who came. Yukishiro blushed when she saw the person. However, when she saw Nana lying in the man's arms, a trace of jealousy flashed across her eyes. Are you okay? Muyi asked with concern. I'm fine. Nana's eyes turned red and she shook her head while crying. Her words were more convincing than her words. Yukishiro almost applauded her. In Weishi's words, this little bitch's acting skills were worthy of an Oscar. Muyi looked up at Yukishiro and said sternly, "Why did you hit her?" Yukishiro didn't want to explain, but when she looked up, she saw Shisheng standing not far away and looking at them. She gritted her teeth and straightened her back. "It's normal to fight in school. What's wrong with hitting someone?" "Muyi. Young Master Mu, I'm fine. I was just accidentally hit." Yukishiro. "Can't you stop acting like you're fine?" She suddenly understood why Weishi always looked like she had a stomachache when she saw this kind of thing. "Young Master Mu, I'm sorry. It's my sister's fault. It was just a small conflict with Nana. I'll talk to her when I get back." Yukishiro stood up for Yukishiro and pushed the blame to Yukishiro. "It's just a small conflict. Is it necessary to hit someone?" Muyi frowned. "You're Yukishiro? Apologize to Nana. We're all classmates. There's no need to make our relationship so tense. Have you ever seen anyone apologize for a fight in school?" Yukishiro suddenly became bold. "What kind of fight is this?" Muyi frowned. "Young Master Mu, forget it." Nana shook her head pitifully. "Yukishiro is Yukishiro's sister. I don't want to make our relationship so tense." Muyi felt that it was beneath him to argue with a little girl, so he wanted to give Nana a way out. "Yukishiro, why are you so stubborn? Apologize to Nana now," Shuefei said. "Dare I ask, my dear sister, what did I do wrong?" Yukishiro's face was red and swollen. "You bumped into me first and slapped me. What's wrong with me fighting back?" Shisheng felt that there was a twist in the plot. If the male lead found out that the two women were pretending, he might have some strange thoughts about the female lead. She hurried up. As soon as she came over, the onlookers immediately retreated to the side, opening up a path for her. "Cut the crap." Shisheng smacked Yukishiro's head. "If you don't like it, just do it." "Ha." Yukishiro was stunned. "Weishi." Muyi gritted his teeth and glared at Shisheng. "This has nothing to do with you. Don't interfere." If possible, Muyi wanted to kill her even more. Not only did this devil stop him from taking Muyu's golden finger, but she also went against him time and time again. How despicable. As soon as Muyi finished speaking, Shisheng suddenly kicked him. Muyi held Nana in his arms and stepped back. He almost fell to the ground because he was carrying someone else. Shisheng retracted his leg and smiled sinisterly. "I won't interfere. I'll interfere." Everyone was speechless. There was nothing wrong with his words. "Weishi, do you have to go against me?" Muyi tried to maintain his image in front of the beauty. "I didn't provoke you today." "I've provoked you, all right?" Shisheng very generously took the blame for herself. Muyi's face darkened. After a while he said, "I won't argue with you. I'll see you at the school competition." "I want to argue with you. What should I do?" Shisheng spread his hands and looked at him coldly. "Why don't we warm up first? Who told you to covet I's wife's things? You're lucky that I beat you up every time I see you." Almost as soon as she finished speaking, everyone saw her rushing towards Muyi. Muyi pushed Nana to the side, and the pentagram array opened up, and the attacks of light converged together. Compared to Muyi's majestic attack, Shisheng's attack was much calmer. He just waved his sword a few times. It looked like he didn't use much strength, but every time he waved his sword he could accurately block Muyi's attack. That sword is so powerful. She didn't even activate her star atlas. That's strange. Why doesn't her weapon have a star atlas? Everyone's doubts came back to this. I heard that there's a weapon that doesn't have a star atlas when it's used. As soon as they said that, they immediately attracted the attention of everyone around them. What? What is it? Tell me. Attribute weapon. That person said. I saw a record in an ancient book. It said that a long time ago, in our world, there was something called the element. At that time, there was also a profession called the elementalist. Attribute weapons are weapons that are infused with the power of the element. You're not making this up, right? Why haven't I heard of it before? That's right, that person snorted. I asked my ancestor and he admitted it. If you don't believe me, you can go back and ask him yourself. These things are passed down by word of mouth from my ancestors. Clang. A loud noise in front of them pulled everyone's attention back to the battle. Sheng was still standing, but Muyi was already down. It wasn't the first time that the crowd saw Muyi get beaten up by Sheng, so they were very calm. Sheng wanted to go to Muyi, but she suddenly stopped and her body swayed slightly. She put away her iron sword and firmly supported herself on the ground. She suddenly turned around and left. Everyone was confused. Why did she leave? Sheng's speed was very fast. Before the group of people could react, she had already disappeared. Yukishiro chased after Sheng. She used almost all of her strength to barely keep up with her. The surrounding buildings were getting more and more secluded. This was the school's laboratory building. Few people came here, because of the lack of classes. Yukishiro followed Sheng to a building. When she was about to reach the top floor, she smelled blood. It was a very strong smell of blood. Bang! The door of the rooftop was kicked open. The light immediately lit up the corridor. There was blood everywhere from the stairs to the top. Yukishiro's heart skipped a beat. Only Muyu could make her react like this. Did something happen to Muyu? Yukishiro stepped over the door and saw several corpses lying in a pool of blood. The color of their hair and eyes showed that they were not human. They were not spirits either. They were demons. Yukishiro's scalp went numb. How could there be so many demons? #hashtag today's vote for fuchsia #, well, it's the daily vote. Cherub with recommendation and monthly votes, please cast your votes. Chapter 1274. Cough cough cough. Sheng found Muyu in the corner. He had several wounds on his body and his uniform was covered in blood. He was not in a better condition than the first time Sheng saw him. When Sheng approached him, Sheng could feel a strong murderous aura coming from him. It's me. Cough cough cough. Muyu covered his mouth and coughed. His murderous aura receded like a tide. Sheng went up to him and hugged him. It's okay now. I'll take you home. When Yukishiro came around, she only saw a pool of blood on the ground. There was no one there. She scratched her head. Strange. Where is he? Sheng took Muyu home. Jiaotong was stunned when he saw Muyu covered in blood. Sheng rummaged through the medicine box for a while before throwing it down roughly. She said to Jiaotong, "Go buy some medicine." Jiaotong nodded. Okay, he went downstairs in a hurry. What medicine should he buy? In the end, Jiaotong bought all the medicine he could use. It was not his money anyway, so he did not feel bad about using it. Sheng chased Jiaotong out. He carried Muyu into the bedroom and put him on the bed. Muyu opened his eyes but did not react. He looked lifeless, just like before. Sheng unbuttoned his jacket and revealed his shirt. The white shirt was dyed red. The wounds on his abdomen and chest were still bleeding. Sheng unbuttoned the shirt carefully and lifted it. Sheng touched the corner of the shirt, but did not find the talisman she put on him. Sheng looked at the shirt again. It was almost the same as before. However, judging from the collar, it was not the same. She thought he only had 2 sets of clothes. Who knew he had more? They looked the same. She did not notice that he had a new set of clothes this morning. Damn. Sheng put down the shirt and looked at the wounds on his body. The wounds looked like they were made by a sharp knife. Blood and flesh were flying everywhere. Sheng could even see the bones. Sheng's heart skipped a beat. He stopped the bleeding first. The pain caused by the alcohol made Muyu frown. She subconsciously grasped the sheets under her body. Sheng said softly, "Bear with it." Weishi. Muyu's voice was very soft. It was as soft as a feather brushing across the surface of a lake. Yeah, I'm here. He tilted his head and looked at Sheng. I don't have long to live. Sheng paused and looked up at him. Their gazes met in the air. Muyu covered his chest with his hand. Do you feel it? Your power is growing. Sheng's expression was cold and indifferent. What do you mean? Muyu's chest heaved up and down. Soul sacrifice. Soul sacrifice. The master offered his soul to the contractor, and after the contractor absorbed the soul, he would have all the strength of the master. It was no wonder that as long as Muyu wasn't injured, she wouldn't have any reaction at all. That was a sign of his soul weakening. And no matter how strong she was, how could she react? You will grow stronger and stronger. When did it start? Shisheng was still calm. Mu Yu's gaze was blank. After a while he said, during that battle, you weren't Wei Shi. Why? She has a better chance of survival than me. She will help me take revenge. But he didn't expect Wei Shi to become her. The soul sacrifice was interrupted at that time, but it wasn't completely interrupted. His power was draining day by day. At first he was afraid that she would have other thoughts after knowing about it, so he didn't dare to tell her. Later, when she asked Uncle Huan, he didn't let Uncle Huan tell her. He wasn't sure if he was afraid of what she would do after knowing, or if he just didn't want to tell her. But now he didn't want to hide it from her. He wanted her to know. Shisheng lowered his head and continued to treat the wound. After she finished cleaning and bandaging it, she helped him change into clean clothes. She then propped herself up on the bed to look at him. After a few seconds, she pressed down hard. Her face was magnified in his eyes. Her lips and teeth were pried open. Mu Yu froze. His heart seemed to have stopped beating. Then it started beating wildly again with an inexplicable joy. Shisheng suddenly let go of him and rushed out of the bedroom. Mu Yu was in a daze. Hearing the sound of her retching in the toilet, his wildly beating heart slowly calmed down. After a while, she came in with a pale face. Mu Yu pursed his lips. Am I that disgusting? It has nothing to do with you. Shisheng sat beside him. He helped him up and fed him a glass of milk. Shisheng hugged him as he slept. His lips gently rubbed against his face and slowly moved to his lips. Mu Yu turned his head away and bit his lip. Just now. Shisheng was a little distressed. It has nothing to do with you. It's my own fault. Shisheng coaxed Mu Yu for a long time before he slowly accepted it and responded to her carefully. The smell of milk washed away the smell of blood, but Shisheng's face was still paling inch by inch. His stomach was churning violently. She propped herself up and sat up. Mu Yu opened his eyes and looked at her. His gaze seemed to say that if she dared to vomit, he would immediately return to his initial state of ignoring everyone. The blood in Mu Yu's mouth was already gone, but Shisheng was too sensitive to the smell. She could not resist the physiological reaction. If you don't want to kiss me, why did you kiss me? Mu Yu's voice sounded from behind. Shisheng turned around. The young man's eyes were wide open, and he was staring straight at her. His slightly pale face looked very innocent. Shisheng immediately suppressed his anger and explained, I don't like blood. You. Mu Yu instinctively licked his lips. When he coughed just now, he had indeed coughed up blood. But now, his mouth was filled with the smell of her and milk. There was no other taste. Mu Yu recalled the previous 2 times. His body was clean and he did not smell the blood, but she could. Mu Yu paused for a while before asking, Do you feel uncomfortable? A little. Shisheng lay back down. I'll be fine after a while. Mu Yu allowed Shisheng to hug him. His wound hurt a little, but he did not make a sound. He leaned against her chest and her softness pressed against his cheek. He blushed and moved back. Don't move. Be careful of your wound. Mu Yu's body suddenly froze. He was hugged back again. He had to divert his attention. That my wound was scratched by a demon. What medicine did you use? Shisheng took the medicine from the bedside table and showed it to him. Mu Yu glanced at it. This is just an ordinary medicine. It doesn't have much effect on the wound caused by a demon. Then I'll buy another one for you. He forgot to tell Jiao Tong just now. Jiao Tong guessed that he had been beaten up and bought this kind of medicine. The medicine to treat the wound caused by a demon could only be bought at a specialized store. The people who sold the medicine there were all demon cleansers. Even if Jiao Tong went there, he would not dare to go. No. There's no need. My wound will heal soon. Mu Yu grabbed Shisheng's clothes and whispered, My healing ability is very good. Even without medicine, I can heal. Shisheng rubbed his head and put him down carefully. He got up and got off the bed. That won't do. I feel bad seeing you in pain. Mu Yu tugged at the corner of his clothes. Shisheng turned to look at him. He looked up with a pale face and said softly, Don't go. Every time he was injured, he would recover alone. During that period of time, it was quiet, dark, and cold. Fear came along with it, invading his world from every pore. Asterisk begging for votes. Chapter 1275. However, when Yukishiro removed the debris, the body was nowhere to be found. Not even a trace of blood could be found. Where did it go? Yukishiro lifted the pile of debris, but there was nothing there. I was hiding here. Someone must have cleaned up the place after they left. Shisheng looked around with his hands on his hips. He walked around the rooftop but found nothing. Master. Cunning Child squatted on the edge of the rooftop. Come and look. Cunning Child pointed at a thumb-sized badge on the ground. Master, what is this? Shisheng and Yukishiro squatted down and stared at the badge for a long time. This looks like the Mu family's badge. Yukishiro said hesitantly. Shisheng picked up the badge and looked at it. It looked similar to the Mu family's badge, but there were also some differences. Cunning Child moved away. He didn't want to be so close to the demon cleanser. Master, have you heard of this term? What is it? Raising demons. Yukishiro's face changed. She looked at Cunning Child. He didn't look like someone from a big family. How did he know about this? Yes. Shisheng looked calm. Making deals with demons for profit? Master, have you heard of this term? No. Just those 4 words were enough to create a plot. It was just that annoying. Disgust appeared on Cunning Child's face. Although humans always use the excuse of destroying demons, in reality, many humans, including the demon cleansers, secretly make deals with demons. Humans hated demons, but at the same time, they coveted their abilities. Shisheng sneered. This is a classic example of saying no, but your body is telling the truth. Yukishiro was speechless. She didn't know what to say. Cunning Child looked at Shisheng with blind admiration. Master, you're right. You're right. Humans don't mean what they say. They're afraid of demons, but at the same time, they're trying to get more out of them. After he finished speaking, he glanced at Yukishiro, who was sitting next to him. He had forgotten that there was a human here. Yukishiro looked at Cunning Child in confusion. Why are you looking at me? Cunning Child was speechless. He was afraid of being destroyed. Yukishiro did not understand what Cunning Child was trying to say. She turned to Shisheng and said, Many big families raise demons. This badge should be worn by the Mu family's demons. The Shui clan had them as well. Of course, she was the one who discovered these things, so it was impossible for those people to tell her. Raising demons did not mean that they had to be locked up. They would be hidden in various places and provide useful information to the family. Wearing the badge would allow one's own people to distinguish between them and prevent them from being killed by mistake. Mu family? Mu Yi? No, with Mu Ye's current status, it wasn't enough for him to come into contact with such a secret. After all, if the matter of raising demons was brought to the table, it would probably cause countless people to attack. There were some things that everyone was well aware of, but they did not expose each other. Everything was fine. But once the veil was removed, no one was willing to admit it. Since it wasn't Mu Yi, it had to be someone from the upper echelons of the Mu family. That idiot Mu Yi must have spilled the beans. Or could it be intentional? Or maybe it wasn't Mu Yi who said it. There was still a retard who was secretly plotting against her. Shisheng could not tell who was involved in this matter, but no matter who was behind it, the Mu family was definitely involved. The Mu family was attacked again after the last inexplicable attack. Last time, they did not even see who it was, but this time, Shisheng swaggered in through the main door. Mu Hui received the news and hurried to the main hall. Shisheng was sitting in his usual seat, and a group of people were lying on the ground, wailing in pain. Mu Hui waved his hand and ordered the people behind him to carry these people away. He glared at the person who was poking the table with a sword. Wei Shi, it's not time yet. Are you going back on your words? Shisheng sneered. The one who broke the agreement first was the head of the Mu family. How could it be me? Mu Hui sneered. When did we break the agreement? Shisheng raised his hand and flicked the badge at Mu Hui's head. Mu Hui was shocked. He reached out and grabbed the badge. When he opened it, his expression changed. How did this badge end up in her hands? Mu Hui's mind was in a whirl. No matter how she got this badge, he could not admit it. What is this? Shi Sheng went straight to the point. Stop pretending. Let's be honest. Don't waste time. Who did it? Hand it over and I won't punish the Mu family today. Mu Hui was speechless. What was there to be honest about? How could they be honest about this? How could they be honest? Shi Sheng continued to poke the table. If you want to cover it up, then let the Mu family be buried with you. Anyway, it's not my Mu family. I don't feel bad about it at all. She suddenly smiled. Don't question whether I have the ability to destroy your Mu family. I can tell you clearly that I do. Shi Sheng's words made Mu Hui swallow everything he wanted to say. His heart was about to jump out of his chest. He did not know why, but he actually believed that this arrogant devil in front of him had the ability to do so. The main hall was silent and the atmosphere was heavy. Mu Hui rolled his eyes and tightened his grip on the badge. Go and get the second master. He turned his head and said solemnly, I didn't do anything. When the second master comes later, if he did it, I will give you an explanation. I don't need you to give me an explanation. I'll ask for it myself. Shi Sheng sneered. Who knows if you're lying? Mu Hui was speechless. This devil was so damn arrogant that he wanted to strangle her to death. Second Master Mu Ye's father, was a parasite of the family who ate, drank and gambled. He did not have a good relationship with Mu Yi. Second Master Mu only saw Mu Yi as a tool to show off and ask for things from the Mu family. He said to everyone that he had a good son. If they had the ability, they could also have a son like Yuluan. Anyway, this person had tricked Mu Yi a few times and was killed by Mu Yi in the end. When Second Master Mu heard that Mu Hui was looking for him, and that the devil contracted by Mu Yi was here, he felt a little guilty and slowly walked to the main hall. On the way to the main hall, he saw Mu Yi coming back with a strange look on his face. He immediately went over and dragged Mu Yi to the main hall. Xiao Yi, follow me to the main hall. Dad, what did you do this time? Mu Yi was speechless at this cheap father of his. Ever since he had transmigrated, his father had never stopped. Second Master Mu glared at Mu Yi. What are you talking about? I asked you to accompany me to the main hall. What did you do? Is your father such a person in your heart? Mu Yi retorted. Aren't you? You child. I asked you to follow me to the main hall, not to kill you. Second Master Mu pulled Mu Yi to the main hall without giving him any chance to explain. Mu Yi could not dissuade Second Master Mu, and could only follow him to the main hall. Tell me honestly, what did you do this time? When I came in just now, I saw that there was something wrong with their expressions. You didn't get into big trouble, did you? Second Master Mu snorted angrily. It's all because of that trash Mu Yu. He probably realized that he had said something wrong, so he quickly stopped and looked around. Mu Yi immediately asked, what does it have to do with Mu Yu? Chapter 1276. When Mu Yi arrived at the hall and saw the situation, he knew that Second Master Mu was in trouble. Especially when he saw Shi Sheng sitting at the top like a big boss, he felt even more uneasy. This demon was here again. Mu Yi suppressed his uneasiness and walked to Mu Hui. He greeted him respectfully, Patriarch. Mu Hui glanced at Second Master Mu behind him, and guessed that he was the one who called Mu Yi over. His face darkened. This is none of your business. Go back first. Big brother, how can you let Xiao Yi go back? Second Master Mu grabbed Mu Ye's arm. What's the matter? Say it in front of Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi is my son. Can't he listen? If Mu Yi left, his big brother would kill him. Mu Hui wanted to slap Second Master Mu to death. That demon was sitting at the top. Did he forget what happened last time? Mu Yi was the future pillar of the Mu family. What if something bad happened to him? He did not know why he had such a stupid brother. Mu Yi was dragged along and couldn't leave. He sighed and asked, Patriarch, what happened? Mu Hui glanced up. Shi Sheng was looking at them calmly with his chin propped up. He did not seem to care about them at all. Mu Hui retracted his gaze and opened his palm. He questioned in a deep voice, Did you do it? As soon as the badge was revealed, Second Master Mu's face turned pale. He grabbed Mu Ye's arm harder and tried to defend himself. Patriarch, what does this have to do with me? Mu Yi did not know what it was, but judging from Second Master Mu's reaction, it was probably nothing good. Moreover, this thing was related to the demon above. You really don't know? I really don't know. Second Master Mu straightened his neck and denied. Do you want me to call them over for a confrontation? Mu Hui narrowed his eyes, looking like he was going to place righteousness before family. Big brother. Second Master Mu was shocked. How could he help an outsider? Mu Hui raised his voice and yelled. Did you do it? Second Master Mu's face turned from white to green. Mu Yi only understood half of it. While Second Master Mu and Mu Hui were in a deadlock, he asked, Patriarch, what are you talking about? Mu Hui did not answer him. Second Master Mu grabbed Mu Yi and said anxiously, Big brother, I'm Xiao Ye's father. Everything I do is for Xiao Yi. Mu Yi. What for him? Let alone him. Even his original body wouldn't believe it. What on earth had Second Master Mu done? Have you finished your discussion? Shisheng asked impatiently. He had been waiting for a long time, but they were still talking. After such a long time, he had finally found a scapegoat. With the elders present, Mu Yi couldn't say anything. He could only look around and try to piece together the truth. What Second Master Mu said just now had indirectly admitted that he was the one who did it. Mu Hui made a decision in his heart. Wei Shi, I'll hand him over to you. Let's end this matter here. The deal is still valid. What do you think? He needed time. He couldn't fall out with her now. Big brother, what are you talking about? Are you going to give me to this demon? Second Master Mu yelled in shock. I'm your younger brother. How could you do such a thing? Mu Hui glared at Second Master Mu. What did I warn you before? You did this first, and now you're blaming me for not caring about our brotherhood? At this point, if he didn't hand him over, the entire Mu family would suffer. It was not a loss to sacrifice a person who was a parasite of the family. Big brother, you can't do this. Second Master Mu let go of Mu Yi and rushed to Mu Hui, his face full of horror. Big brother, I'm your younger brother. You'll be punished by the heavens if you kill your own brother. Mu Hui waved Second Master Mu away and said word by word. For the sake of the family, I have to give you up. Second Master Mu took a few steps back and pointed at Mu Hui, speechless for a long time. He pointed his finger at Mu Yi and said, Mu Yi, aren't you going to speak up for I? Mu Yi. Then tell me what happened first. He was dumbfounded. After all, he was the father of the original body. Mu Yi thought for a moment and said, Patriarch, what did my father do that you have to make such a big fuss? Ask him yourself. Mu Hui snorted coldly, looking as if he didn't want to talk about it. He's just a piece of trash. Why can't we touch him? Perhaps it was because Mu Yi had spoken up for him, but Second Master Mu became bolder. Big brother, you're actually afraid of a demon? If word of this gets out, where are you going to hide your face? Where will our Mu family's face go? Mu Hui's mouth twitched. Do you know what level that demon is? He wanted to slap Second Master Mu to death. This piece of trash only caused trouble for the family. Mu Yi thought about what Second Master Mu had said outside. Now that the Shisheng was here, he suddenly thought of something. Dad, you sent someone to deal with Mu Yu? Second Master Mu could tell that Mu Hui wanted to hand him over to that demon. He had to rely on Mu Yi to save his life now, so he whispered something in his ear. Mu Ye's expression changed. Dad, you. He didn't expect that Second Master Mu would overhear him and have designs on that piece of jade. He even dared to send someone to cause trouble for Mu Yu. It was fine if they killed Mu Yu. But Mu Yu didn't die and Wei Shi found out. Mu Yi had a headache just thinking about it. Clang, clang, clang. There was a sound in front. Shisheng swung his iron sword and stood up. I've been merciful enough to give you so much time. If you talk any more nonsense, I will destroy the Mu family as well. Mu Hui's expression turned ugly. He waved his hand. Tie Second Master Mu up. The people waiting outside immediately came in. Second Master Mu panicked. Xiao Yi, talk to my brother. Patriarch. Mu Hui interrupted Mu Yi and said firmly, Mu Yi, there's nothing to talk about. Mu Yi glanced at Second Master Mu and frowned. He couldn't beat Shisheng. If he acted rashly, not only would it not work, but it would also leave a bad impression on the patriarch. Mu Yi fell silent, and prepared to find another chance to save second Master Mu. You bunch of ingrates and executioners. How could you leave me in the lurch? I'm your family. Second Master Mu cursed incoherently as he was tied up. You'll all die a horrible death. Xiaoya, I'm your father. You can't leave me in the lurch. You bunch of bastards, let me go. Brother. Mu Hui, you son of a b*tch, I'm your brother. You can't do this to me. The decisiveness jade is with Mu Yu. Brother, you didn't expect this, did you? Second Master Mu suddenly blurted out as he cursed. What did you say? Mu Hui's expression changed. Second Master Mu suddenly laughed and his face was ferocious. After a while he stopped and said fiercely, Are you surprised? You raised him for so many years and you didn't know that the decisiveness jade was with him. Brother, are you really stupid? If it wasn't for my good son, I wouldn't have known either. Mu Hui looked at Mu Yi. Mu Yi could only use 2 words to describe his feelings at this time. F*ck. He wanted to find a chance to save him, but in the end he betrayed him. Was he really a father who cheated his son like this? Shisheng. This show was very interesting. Chapter 1277. As the male protagonist's golden finger, that piece of jade was very important. At least, Mu Hui, who was about to hand second Master Mu over to Shisheng, hesitated and looked at Mu Yi from head to toe. Mu Yi wanted to explain, but he did not know where to start. Just now, second Master Mu had already cut off his escape route when he said that he knew about it from him. He had to find a reasonable excuse to dispel Mu Hui's suspicion. Mu Hui stared at second Master Mu coldly. Are you sure? Ask my son. Second Master Mu shook his head at Mu Yi. He knows very well. Second Master Mu sneered. You want to use me as a target? I won't let you have it easy. Mu Yi? Mu Yi thought for a moment and nodded. Mu Hui suddenly said to Shisheng, Miss Weishi, you can take him away. Second Master Mu's eyes widened. He was obviously wavering just now. Why did he still want to hand himself over to that woman? Second Master Mu could not figure it out, but Mu Yi understood. Mu Hui was probably no match for her now, so he had to do this. Shisheng did not care what Mu Hui was thinking. Second Master Mu, please. Second Master Mu cursed again. This time he did not even spare his ancestors. He even cursed himself. Although he could not escape being taken away by Shisheng in the end. After Shisheng left, the hall was silent. Mu Yi, come with me to see the elder. Yes. Mu Yi was a little nervous. What was the meaning of this? Shisheng brought second Master Mu back. Mu Yi was shocked when he saw him. Weishi, why did you bring him here? Young Master Mu. He was the one who ordered them to do it. Jiao Tong stood beside him and answered. Mu Yi's eyes darkened. The blue light broke through the darkness. Shisheng moved to the side and stood in front of him, holding his hand. Wait a minute, I have something to ask. The chaotic blue light in Mu Yi's eyes calmed down and hid in the darkness. He turned and went into the bedroom. Shisheng asked Jiao Tong to wake him up. As soon as second Master Mu woke up, he started cursing. His voice pierced through the bedroom door and filled the entire room. Mu Yi stood behind the door with his back against the door. His hands were tightly clenched into fists, suppressing the murderous aura in his body. The noise outside quieted down. Time ticked by. Knock knock, young Master Mu. The master wants you to come out. The voice of the cunning child rang out as he knocked on the door. Mu Yi took a deep breath and opened the door. Second Master Mu lay half dead on the ground. His face was pale from the shock. However, there were no wounds on his body, and he couldn't even smell the scent of blood. Cough cough cough. Mu Yi's body suddenly swayed, and was caught by someone in the next second. He coughed even harder. Cough 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 cough. Shisheng frowned and patted his back. Second Master Mu's face was pressed against the floor as he watched the Shisheng half-carried Mu Yi back to the bedroom. His eyes darted around. It was half an hour later when the Shisheng came out. Second Master Mu cackled. Is that little monster about to die? Who are you calling little monster? The cunning child kicked second Master Mu. Second Master Mu was in pain. He could do nothing but glare at the cunning child. He swallowed hard and looked at the Shisheng. It's soul sacrifice, isn't it? The Shisheng glanced at him. You know about it? There were very few records about soul sacrifice. Perhaps there was none at all. At least, she hadn't found any information about it until now. Let me up first. Second Master Mu felt that he had a bargaining chip, and immediately started to seek benefits for himself. The Shisheng sneered. Cunning child, beat him until he's willing to talk. How dare he negotiate with the eye? He should take a look at himself first. Second Master Mu was speechless. The cunning child was about to kick him when Second Master Mu hurriedly said, Don't hit him. I'll talk. The cunning child retracted his foot. I can tell you, but you have to let me go. Click. The Shisheng put down the cup in his hand, and leaned over to look at Second Master Mu with a sinister smile. You haven't figured out your situation yet. Second Master Mu felt a chill run down his spine when he saw that smile. Devil, devil. That was the devil's smile. Just one look was enough to make one tremble in fear. There seemed to be a gleaming blade floating above his head, ready to fall at any time and turn him into a hedgehog. Ah! Second Master Mu was kicked one after another. He cried out in pain. Stop. Stop, stop. I'll talk. I'll talk. Okay. Damn it, this devil. Second Master Mu felt as if his internal organs had been displaced. It was very uncomfortable, but he was afraid of being beaten again. He panted and spoke intermittently. Soul sacrifice was a way for the master to sacrifice his soul to his contractor. This method was effective for both demons and spirits. Of course, the sacrifice party was human. Spirits and demons did not have souls. The result of the sacrifice was to strengthen the contractor. There were some differences between demons and spirits. A spirit sacrifice had to be completed in one go. If it was interrupted halfway, both parties would die. A demon's sacrifice did not have this requirement. Even if it was interrupted, the sacrifice would still take effect if it was in the final stage. The demon would devour the master's soul bit by bit in the future, compared to completing the sacrifice in one go. This method was more torturous. The sacrifice party had to endure the weakness of the soul, and the tearing sensation of the soul being devoured. Second Master Mu could tell at a glance that Mu Yu was using soul sacrifice because he had seen it with his own eyes. Is there a way to break it? Shisheng listened for a long time, but did not hear what he wanted. Break it. Second Master Mu laughed sarcastically. Once it starts, either both parties die or one dies. This is the way to break it. Either way, one of them had to die. Shisheng was speechless. Where was I's sword? After talking for a long time, there was still no useful information. Second Master Mu saw Shisheng coming over with the sword. His face changed. He closed his eyes and shouted, Jadeite. The Jadeite can delay time. I really don't know anything else. How do I use it? Second Master Mu opened one eye first. When he saw Shisheng standing a little further away, he opened both eyes. The Jadeite cannot recognize its master. The blood of the sacrifice party and the sacrifice party must be dripped at the same time to form a symbiotic relationship with the Jadeite. However, this method can only delay time for a year at most. The symbiotic relationship with the Jadeite can only last for a year. Moreover, there will be a price after the event. It can't be done a second time. No. Everyone only has one chance to form a symbiotic relationship with the Jadeite. Shisheng frowned. What price? Second Master Mu gulped. Not necessarily. The Jadeite will charge different rewards depending on the person. The Jadeite was the legendary Devil Jade. Yes, it was the Devil Jade. It represented the power of evil. In the beginning, it did not have a name. People called it the Devil Jade. Later, someone named it Jadeite. It did not have any special meaning. It was just a name, a person's name. The Jadeite was fatally attractive to demons. The Jadeite could make them stronger. Similarly, it was very attractive to humans. If a human formed a contract with the Jadeite, they would be able to command all demons below S-class. If a devil cleanser could command demons below S-class, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to level up? Asterisk hashtag today's Myrtle flavored vote hashtag everyday shamelessly begging for monthly votes number 2017. 04. Little Angel in book review area. Not here. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.